Shane Van Gisbergen takes his number 88 right down on the bottom white line.
Joey Logano has just made his run. He goes to the top of the board.
And each year when we come here, the track gets a little bit more worn, handling matters more, so it's like, how do you find the balance?
Today on the Performance Racing Network, it's qualifying for the Bank of America Roval 400 from Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Welcome to the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. The cars are heading out onto the track. Group 1 practice. This will be a 25-minute session. Up here in the booth, Brad Gilley alongside Mark Garrow and Pat Patterson. We have a host of turn announcers that are going to be joining us here for the practice and qualifying session today, including Nick Yeoman, Mark Janes, Michael Young, all from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Radio Network joining us here. We also have Doug Turnbull and Andrew Curlin having his first go in the turns. Alan Cavana is going to be covering everything pit side for us, and a whole lot of fun. And Mark, cars are going out on the track. The first practice session, it's a cutoff weekend for the NASCAR Cup Series. Among our 12 playoffs drivers, we're going to leave here tomorrow night with only 8 left in championship contention.
And we always talk about a cutoff race, the guys who need to win to move on. Absolutely have to have it. There's no way to point in, or it's a deep hole. But you come into this weekend, and you're looking straight at SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah.
And what he's done on the road courses. And you have to ask yourself, can I beat him if I absolutely need to? That is a tough ask.
That is. Shane Van Gisbergen is going to be part of the Group 2 practice after his first oval top 10 last weekend at Kansas Speedway. And Pat Patterson, obviously, he's the guy that people are talking about. He's won the last 4 consecutive road course races, and even the historic tracks on the schedule, Sonoma and Watkins Glen, that people thought he might not have the same advantage there. He did. But outside of SVG, or unless you just want to talk about Shane Van Gisbergen, who are we looking at this weekend?
Well, Brad, first of all, it's great to be here. Number one, when you think about SVG, you always go to that skill set of braking. And, on the Roval, which we use the oval and the road course through the infield here, there are a number of places where your success or failure is 100% tied to how little you have to get on the brake and let that car roll, okay? And Van Gisbergen is probably one of the best I have ever seen at getting every bit of roll out of the car in the corner. And the more roll you got, the less brake you use, the faster you get back to the gas. There's some other guys in the field that are good at doing that, and there are some particular places around this racetrack, especially over where Mark Janes is and over here where Turnbull is, doing his thing, where Andrew's going to be calling them in 10, 11, and 12. The chicane areas here, the less time you're on the brake, the better you are. That's why Van Gisbergen, I think, is the guy that's going to set the pace here in qualifying, or at least that's what I expect this afternoon.
And, Pat, when he runs the corners like that, he's easy on the tires. He's much easier on the tires than some of these other guys. So Chase Briscoe was on my Garage Pass show on Friday and talked about the fact that you think you're catching him. You think you have something. You're running 100%. You're running your guts out, and then you find out, he looks in the rearview mirror and goes, no. And you find out he's only running 85%. And that's the tough thing to swallow.
But I got to tell you, Brad, when we're kind of setting up the day, and I talked about this some this morning on my show. I talked about the fact that, giving Chase Elliott an opportunity like he got last weekend, okay? He wasn't the fastest car, but he was the guy that was ready to take advantage of Kansas and got that win. And I just wonder, because you don't have to give Alan Gustafson and Chase Elliott much for them to kind of multiply that into more good runs. So I wonder just kind of what Chase Elliott, might be able to do here today, because remember, it wasn't that long ago that the way we talk about Shane Van Gisbergen, who are we talking about?
Chase Elliott.
Chase Elliott, that's right.
Chase Elliott will be part of Group 2 in practice today. A.J. Allmendinger, the 2023 winner of the Roval, is the fastest so far. Let's set this 17-turn racetrack up for you and send it out to our turn announcers as Mark, Pat, and myself watch them cross the start-finish line. Right about the time they get to the end of where pit road is, they'll make a hard left turn. They'll head toward the infield, and they will be in the sight of the pride of Ball State, Nick Yeoman.
Appreciate that, Brad Gilly. Has to be an odd sensation for these drivers, because in the month of May, once you leave the dogleg on the front straightaway, that's right before the cars kind of level off, hit the banking, and rocket into turn number 1 on the oval. But here in the fall, that's where you're stabbing the brakes. Daniel Suarez navigating that part of the racetrack right now. That left-hander, turn number 1, 90 degrees. That brings you into the infield. Not a lot of runoff area. There's a nasty tire barrier that came into play yesterday in the Truck Series race right at the very start of the event, tearing up trucks like Corey Hines.
We got trouble over here at turn number 5. Riley Herbst, Nick, sorry to interrupt, has spun out at turn 5 and nailed the tire barrier there. He's sitting perpendicular to traffic with some heavy right side damage, and we'll see how this affects practice here as this Group 1 session is well underway with A.J. Allmendinger on top.
And they will keep the track green for now. Riley Herbst's car actually had the tires going off the ground, but it looks like he is back underway. So, Nick, they'll make that left-hand corner towards you, and then what happens is they start their way through the infield.
Yeah, it's first a slight climb uphill, just a short little straightaway before the racetrack kind of falls away from you. It's a left-hander of turn number 2. It also runs parallel with the pit exit lane, and if we do get some green flag pit sequences, there are some times where it can get a little tight with drivers trying to blend their way back onto the racetrack. Once they straighten out the steering wheel exiting turn number 2, it's a very short little straightaway. Track gets a little bit wider, an opportunity where if you've got a good run, you can set up a pass. You slide underneath the Bank of America pedestrian bridge and tug that steering wheel to the right of turn number 3. Then they leave my view and come to the view of Mark James.
They'll release the wheel ever so slightly, Nick Yeoman, and they only slightly because it continues to bend on around to turn number 4. Drivers right, the right sides will get on the curbing. That area beautifully adorned with all the sponsorship colors of Bank of America. Then it's turn number 4. A wide exit is the preferred one. There are some rumble strips at that exit. They'll straddle those and stay on a little bit of asphalt. It's almost like a short drag strip once they clear turn number 4. They'll carry plenty of speed but have to whoa it up plenty because before long they'll be greeted by turn number 5. It is a deceptively tight right-hander which leads you up the most pronounced uphill portion of this race course. They'll glide over the top of that hill, head back down towards 6, another right-hander, and then they'll pop into the view of Doug Turnbull at turn 7. And all of your years as a traffic reporter in Atlanta prepares you for that duty today.
I'm telling you what, thankfully the Atlanta roads that I cover on the weekdays are not designed like this because it is treacherous going between turns 5 and 6, Mark. Turn 6, well, you go up and down the hill after turn 5. Chase Elliott told the media today that you have to worry about how much throttle and gearing you use to see how that car settles to make that blind right-hand turn to turn 6. Not only is it a blind right-hander, but the track slopes to the left, so it's effectively off-camber. Now through turn 6, you don't want to get all the way hard on the brakes like Pat Patterson was talking about with Shane Van Gisbergen's footwork. You want to get in there as smoothly as you can and then try to pick up speed exiting 6 before you're hard on the brakes again down the hill into the throat of the trickiest turn, arguably, on this track. The redesigned a year ago turn 7 with a tire pack put in the apex there. Drivers will shift into first gear and make a hard left-hand turn. Try to make that corner straight, but a lot of times there can be good contact here under racing conditions. Then it's back onto the banked oval and into the eyes of an Ohioan by way of Indiana, Michael Young.
Well, that's a good description not only of this course, but of my life and where I have lived. Thank you, Doug. Good afternoon. race fans, and a beautiful day here at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Indeed, after they leave turn number 7, one of the most familiar portions of this course for these drivers in the spring, and that's the south end of this Charlotte Motor Speedway and this Roval. We will call them turns 8 and turns 9. As they exit turn number 7, they will swing wide out of that exit and put that right side of that car right up against that outside retaining wall. Then they will drop down at the midway point of turn number 8. The left side of these cars will ride that white line all the way through turn number 8, and then turn number 9, where they'll be greeted by the longest portion, this back straightaway, which they'll make their way about halfway down through, as Josh Berry does right now. And at that halfway portion, at about the 300-foot marker, as Josh Berry blows through this portion of the course, we call it the chicane, which is turns 10, 11, and 12. Really a very important part of this course for these drivers. They have to understand what type of braking they have, how late they can brake into this turn. But to Pat Patterson's notion, you have to be able to carry that momentum through this chicane, a very important portion of this course. And as they hit turn number 10, we'll come to the view of Andrew Curlin. Andrew, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm stationed high atop the NASCAR Oval Turn 4 grandstands, which is turn 14 today. I'll be covering the cars, as you mentioned, as they come through that chicane, down the back straightaway and downshift from 5th to 2nd into the very technical backstretch chicane, which is turns 10, 11, and 12. The left combination of corners have been historically chaotic in years past, even in practice and qualifying. Cars have been squirmy and out of control. Blue curbs are on the driver's left on entry in turn 10, and driver's right as you advance through 11. If you hit the curbs wrong, you're in store for a wild ride. You can find 2 tires off of the ground. Now, if you make it through this section safe, you'll climb the 24 degrees of banking that are the oval portion of the racetrack. And unlike when we were here in May, there is only one dominant line, and that's right against the blue and white stripe line along the low end of the racetrack. Talking to drivers today, you want to get your left good gears right up against that line. Gives you a little bit of extra grip. You'll finish your time qualifying lap at the alternate start-finish line in the middle of turns 13 and 14. The sun is out. It'll be hot and slick with hopefully lots of excitement as teams prepare their setups and finalize everything for an elimination race tomorrow. My section, it's the biggest change in sensation of speed. 5th gear down to 2nd, all the way back up to 5th before we go back into the eyes of the booth, guys.
And once they come off the banking on the north end of the racetrack, they're going to point that car just slightly left, because that's when we get to the front stretch chicane. This is a set of corners. Turn 15, well, that's just a slight bend to the left. They'll actually hug that right on the AstroTurf grass that we have here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and they'll try and set it up for a wide angle of turn 16. That is a hard right-hand corner before they make the final corner, turn 17, another hard corner, and then it's a quick drag race to the start-finish line before they go through another lap. That's what it takes to get around the 17 turns here of the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. And Alan Cavana down on pit road, we know some of these sections of racetrack can be treacherous, just like Riley Herbst found out a while ago.
And they've been working on it ever since they shut the engine off, just trying to make sure everything wasn't too knocked out of alignment. He said the steering wheel's straight, but they're putting a lot of work, especially on the front, to make sure that those tires are pointed in the correct direction that they want them to be. All the damage, very cosmetic on the outside. The entire right side of that number 35 Toyota is all scraped up. Remember, this is a matte black race car. The side of it is all white now, just to give you an idea of how much and how hard that car hit. So a tough start for the rookie driver here in the number 35 of Riley Herbst.
All right, there you go. So Riley Herbst, the first victim of the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Right now, A.J. Allmendinger is the fastest. He's the only driver with top 10 finishes in all next-gen races here at the Roval, and he won this race in 2023. Ty Gibbs is second quick. Daniel Suarez third. Kyle Busch is fourth. Rounding out the top 5 is Zane Smith. This is Group 1, their practice session here at the Roval.
And we're back with the action. Coke Zero Sugar might be the best Coke ever.
That's right, Jim. With an irresistible taste and zero sugar, Coke Zero Sugar is a must-try for any sports fan. So make sure you... Wait, Jim, I didn't mean try it right now. We're still on the air.
Best Coke ever? Take a taste, Jen.
Really?
No, not right now, Jen. We got a game to call.
Hi, I'm Kyle Petty, and I want to tell you about a place that's near and dear to my heart. Victory Junction. It's a year-round camp that gives kids with complex medical and physical conditions life-changing experiences that are fun, empowering, and always free for families. Please help Victory Junction. Support kids who need it the most by getting involved today. Whether you know a child who could benefit, want to volunteer, or join our team, you can be a part of something truly special. Learn more by visiting victoryjunction.org.
Feel like you're in the driver's seat and never miss a second of the race action with Racing Electronics. Listen in on uncensored audio from every team in the race. See them in the vendor area to purchase yours today or learn more at racingelectronics.com. And make sure you catch us here on the Performance Racing Network while you're at the track. The frequency, 454.2000. And make sure you check out the great folks at Racing Electronics. From the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, this is PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Hi, this is Brett McMillan. Join me each week for the True Reporters Roundtable, known as the Pit Reporters.
This is not what we're used to and accustomed to seeing. That, I think, with a backdrop, is why a lot of fans are a bit sour on Denny.
He still wants to play that role that now Denny has taken on, but him and the A-car haven't had the same success. You can't be the villain, and it doesn't really work as well if you're not winning, and Denny Hamlin is doing just that.
Check us out each week on the Performance Racing Network.
Did you know that 9 out of 10 Americans are sick of the divisions in our country? But there's one small step we can take to remember that we're still connected. All over America, strangers with different political views are coming together to talk about their lives, not politics, and discovering they actually have a lot in common. Because even if we don't see eye to eye, we can still talk, heart to heart. So let's talk, for a change. Learn more at takeonesmallstep.org.
The first practice for the Bank of America Roval 400, just under 10 minutes and counting. Mark Garrow, Brad Gilley, Pat Patterson high atop this racetrack, as we have seen all 19 cars at this point go out. A.J. Allmendinger has led the way, had a lap of 87.289. Ty Gibbs, Daniel Suarez, Kyle Busch, Zane Smith, our top 5. The rest of the top 10, Carson Hocevar, Justin Haley, Noah Gragson, John Hunter Nemechek, and Ty Dillon.
Let's go back down to pit road with Alan Cavana.
A.J. Allmendinger in for an adjustment right now, but on top of the board, as you said, right now leading practice. He says if there's any feedback, it's coming off that high speed, the NASCAR turn 4, right? The Charlotte turn 4, where they're coming down. They have to get hard on the brakes to go to the inch chicane right on that infield. He says his car loses all the handling there, and he mentioned the new tire. Remember, on road courses this year, there's been a new tire for these teams that Goodyear brought. This is the first time they're using the tire here on the Roval, so they're having to get used to it. He says on this new tire combination, this tire compound, A.J. Allmendinger says there's very little grip out there on the racetrack, especially under braking.
Thank you very much, Alan. Group 1 practice underway. Second quick right now is Ty Gibbs. He's on the racetrack, crosses the start-finish line. He'll head to turn 1 and Nick Yeoman.
Yeah, we've described the 17 turns. Let's take a car around these corners. Here comes Ty Gibbs out of turn number 1. Boy, nearly got into the outside wall, exiting turn 1. Sweeps through turn number 2. Going to encounter a little bit of cars coming off of pit lane. A.J. Allmendinger just left pit lane. Ty Gibbs in front of you, Mark, in turn 4.
Going a little easier because he's essentially by his lonesome. You've got A.J. Allmendinger running well in front of him and nobody challenging from behind. Zane Smith, he'll climb on the binders, try to stay in the throttle as much as he can, and crest the hill in turn number 5.
Gibbs has been on the track as he goes through turn 6 virtually all of this session. He's running his 10th lap now, more than any other driver. Now he's on the brakes hard at turn 7 and exits clean in a spot where we've seen a lot of drivers, Michael Young, lock up their tires and head toward you.
Indeed, and John, this is a very important portion of the course as we keep our eye on Ty Gibbs. You can see that Monster Energy logo dancing in that sunlight off that hood, but getting that momentum off of turn number 7 is key, and as he crosses underneath me right now, sets up for turn number 10. Andrew, a very important portion of the course. Looks good so far.
Yeah, Ty Gibbs hitting both of the curbs with his left and right. Goodyear's now hits the banking. Left side tires glued to the blue and white stripe as he screams by me off of 14.
And he is chasing A.J. Allmendinger, who is working his way through the chicane. Here is Ty Gibbs, hard to the right. Now he'll swing back left, complete another lap of practice.
All right, so Pat Patterson, what are you seeing so far? A lot of times we watch these road courses, and some drivers look really smooth, and then we look at their lap time, and it's slow. Sometimes it looks like they're just beating this car up all the way around the racetrack, and the next thing you know, they've set a track record.
Yeah, it's funny, particularly when you got a course that's got 17 corners, right? You've got straightaways when you talk about coming out of and into what is turn 10, the backstretch chicane area, you know, and you've got this time when you're working up through the gearbox. It's funny how on the north end of the racetrack, where you're climbing up into 13 and 14, the car actually makes more speed than it does after it makes this hard hairpin corner down here in turn 7. So, you know, your speed is all really tied around how quickly you can get through these particular corners. The rubble strips, sometimes they help point your car if you hit them just right. You hit them wrong the next time, and you maybe only put a foot difference between the two. You lose a tenth or 2 tenths there, you know. So it's really difficult to get 2 laps exactly the same.
Great point, Mark. One of the things we watched earlier in Xfinity Series practice and qualifying, and we saw yesterday in the Craftsman Truck Series race, turn 16. That is the turn that you make the left-hander on the front stretch chicane before making the right-hander back onto the front straightaway. The amount of tire lockup that we can see down there here this weekend is just incredible.
Well, they've changed the corner a little bit. It used to be if you hung out wide, you can kind of cut a straight line a little bit across it. Can't do it anymore. You have to really yank that wheel hard to the right. And if you're under braking and you got the nose down on the ground, it doesn't always work out so well for you. We saw one car after another shoot through the corner. Then, of course, during the race, they'd have to stop here before the finish line to a complete stop and then take off again, which, of course, loses a ton of time.
Yeah, pretty incredible to see the things happening here around the racetrack. Let's see if we can pick up some more play-by-play. Group 1 practice still has 4 minutes and 50 seconds left. In fact, Mark, we got some good racing coming here into the front stretch chicane.
As they work their way in front of us, we'll try to pick up those cars. We're trying to figure out who that is. That, I believe, is Priest. Yeah, Ryan Priest. To the inside.
Ryan Priest, he's dived to the inside of Ty Dillon, makes the pass in turn number 1. That's a great spot to make passes. Now those drivers bend those cars to the left at turn number 2. Ryan Priest hard on the brakes. Mark James for turn 3.
Ricky Stenhouse running well in front of them. That car blends in nicely with that red, white, and blue paint scheme through this Bank of America portion of the road course, the Roval. Here's Ryan Priest. Back into the throttle now and works his way up the hill to turn number 5.
And then down the hill into turn 6. Ryan Priest with a couple of stage wins on strategy at road courses this year. Gets smoothly through that corner with Ty Dillon in tow as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. exits turn 7. Priest will get there cleanly, as will Ty Dillon. Looks like he just barely tags that tire pack, Michael Young.
Yeah, Ryan Priest able to get a good launch out of turn number 7. Will gap himself over Austin Dillon by about 10 car lengths. They'll make their way through turn number 9, but then hit this back straightaway. Ryan Priest will be first to turn number 10 with Austin Dillon in tow.
Ryan Priest slowing his machine all the way down to second gear, pickpocketing his way through that chicane. Now he'll hug the apron for as long as he can, makes his way up to the 24 degrees of banking where he straddles that blue and white line out of 14.
As they come out of the high bank, it's still a little bit of a left-hand turn. Of course, that's 15. You see a big, long, black streak right along the grass area there, the AstroTurf. That's that left side tire just screaming, getting on the brakes as they try to come back to the right.
Pretty amazing how slowing a car down but not locking anything up can just lay a bunch of rubber on the racetrack right there in that section. And it's incredible, Pat, to watch this section, again, coming on to you got to really be hard on the binders. They're getting up to 170 miles per hour or so up on the banking on the north end of the racetrack. And then they've got to woe that down to what is almost a first-gear corner, how drivers either make it or they just flat out don't.
Well, and you're talking about preparing yourself for what the passing zones are going to be. The bottom line is that I need to know how far I can charge down here, even if I lock one of the tires up, because that may be the opportunity I've got to outbrake somebody into the corner. This one right here is critical. Why? Well, look where the start-finish line is, you know. I want to know how hard I can go into this corner and still make the corner. Sometimes I'm going to cross over the edge. When's the right time to do that? Right now in practice.
And if somebody tries to make the pass, you get inside them in that 16th turn. You can hip check them off the racetrack so they miss. the 17th turn, the left-hander, and then they've got to stop, right?
Sure,
so
absolutely.
I've seen a couple of guys get in there and just, again, reminds me of an ice hockey hip check, and then they're off the track.
And we do this qualifying thing, and you look at from the top to the bottom, and you go, wow, man, all these cars are so close to each other, but that's not the way they race, and that's not going to be the way the race is. Half of the field is going to be, a half a second slower than the guys that are pacing the field. And you got to get around them, and that means I got to pass a lot of them in and out of these two chicane areas, front and back stretch.
Pretty wild to see what's going on out here on the racetrack. Alan Cavana, what's happening down on pit road?
Well, I was just watching the 54 car of Ty Gibbs. He got out his car a few minutes ago. His practice for them is about to come to the end. Second on the board overall as the run went on longer. It seems like they had good speed compared to the practice cars that are out there right now. But overall, the assessment from the team is that it's just far too loose out there on the racetrack for Ty Gibbs right now, so they're going to make an adjustment. What I observed, though, is that Ty Gibbs hopped right out of the car, didn't talk to his own team immediately. He went right over to his teammate Chase Briscoe, who was ready and waiting to absorb some of that information that Ty Gibbs just learned. They had a long chat, just a breakdown of what Ty Gibbs learned out there. You could see that he was trying to help his other teammates that they're going for that championship in this next group in practice, trying to get as much knowledge out there before they hit the track. So a long breakdown, a lot of communication there between Ty Gibbs and his teammate Chase Briscoe.
So they're going to make some adjustments to Ty Gibbs. Second fastest lap overall, the best 5-lap average, the best 10-lap average. I can't believe that those changes are going to be too big.
Couple interesting storylines. Ty Gibbs, one of the faster cars when we were in Mexico City, the second road course weekend that we had this year. He was about the only one that could keep up with Shane Van Gisbergen, and obviously he is continuing with road course speed. A.J. Allmendinger, you contrast that. Road courses this year have almost been awful for A.J. Allmendinger, and that comes out of his mouth. Admittedly as well, the results haven't been there. There is something about the Roval, however. He won 4 consecutive Xfinity Series races here. He won the Cup race here in 2023. Now he's at the top of the board. This is only the first half of the field here in group number 1, Mark. But there is something about this circuit and this layout for A.J. Allmendinger that agrees with him in any moment.
Certainly matches up well. I will never forget, Pat, how about that Xfinity race he won in almost total darkness? They didn't have enough lights, and the infield didn't figure the race was going to go into the darkness. And in the rain, in the darkness, the fog, he was able to win that race.
That was pretty crazy. I never thought they would have gotten to the conclusion that they did that day. You're talking about Ty Gibbs, and he just came off the racetrack, went straight to Chase Briscoe. Well, I mean, the Denny was only two more cars down. He didn't try to go over to Denny.
I bet he stopped by just to say hello.
Maybe he thought Chase would go and
that's it. Yeah. A chain text.
All right.
Curious,
Group 1 practice is over. A.J. Allmendinger the fastest, followed by Ty Gibbs second. Daniel Suarez, who will join us for today's Xfinity broadcast, third quick. Kyle Busch fourth. Then Zane Smith rounds out the top 5. Carson Hocevar was sixth. Justin Haley seventh. Eighth was Noah Gragson. John Hunter Nemechek ninth. Ty Dillon rounded out the top 10.
This is Kyle Petty for Echo Park Automotive. As you might imagine, I know a thing or two about cars, and I'm here to tell you about a whole new way to buy a car, truck, or SUV. Did you know that Echo Park Automotive has over 95,000 5-star reviews? On top of that, every car that Echo Park Automotive sells goes through a 190-point inspection to make sure that it looks and drives like new, so you leave happy. It's even in their name, Echo Park Automotive. Every car, happy owner. The official used car dealer of Speedway Motorsports.
Hi, it's PRN's Brad Gilley. Did you know you could take PRN with you anywhere? That's right. By downloading the PRN mobile app, you can listen to our live race broadcast from anywhere. Make sure you don't miss a second of the action from the track. Download today for station listings and on-demand access to your favorite studio shows like Fast Talk, The Pit Reporters, or Garage Pass. Get all the latest racing information at your fingertips with the PRN mobile app. Download today, available in the Apple App Store and on Google Play.
When we come back to the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway, hopefully a chance to talk to some of the drivers who just practiced in the getting ready for qualifying for the Bank of America Roval 400. This is PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Whether it's skating around the racetrack on a set of rollerblades or turning laps in a Legends car, join J.C. Fickenshire on J.C.'s Garage.
All it takes is one win, and that one win can completely clear the driver's mind. I could even see it happening if Todd Gilliland wins a race, or Noah Gragson wins a race, Zane Smith wins a race. These guys are guys who are just searching for one win, one chance.
JC's Garage, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Hey, it's Charlie and Debbie, along with NASCAR legend Kyle Petty, inviting you to join us for Kyle Petty's Back Then Again Country Countdown.
Each week, we'll put it in reverse and take a trip down memory lane, looking back at that week's top 20 country songs from years past.
We'll dive into what made those songs and artists move the needle, what pop culture trends made those years unique.
And you'll get to hear me tell stories only I can tell.
So don't miss Kyle Petty's Back Then Again Country Countdown right here each week.
Welcome back to the Roval here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Up in the booth, Brad Gilley along with Pat Patterson and Mark Garrow. Group 1 practice is over. Group 2 is going to go out for their 25-minute session. And then each of the two groups will have 20-minute sessions for their qualifying. That's going to be coming up here shortly. A little bit later on today, we have the NASCAR Xfinity Series Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina 250. That broadcast is going to be at 4:30 Eastern Time. Daniel Suarez will join us up in the booth for that. Of course, when it comes to Xfinity prowess, when it comes to road course prowess, Suarez is pretty talented. He won earlier this year in Mexico City. A very exciting race day out there to see him be able to win in his home country, Pat.
Two things. Are you going down? Well, let's go down to Alan Cavano right now. Go ahead, Alan.
I'm with AJ Allmendinger. Fastest in that practice. Fastest, but it doesn't sound like it was perfect by any means. What was it like out there?
I don't know how to explain this. It's so different. I don't know. Just this tire combo here. And it's the same tire we ran, I think, throughout the road course, but it is like an ice rink out there, and you're just kind of hanging on, doing everything you can to try not to spin the tires. So mine felt awful, and we were decently quick. I don't know about on the long run pace there, but definitely one lap. But yeah, I mean, it's a good 3 to 4 seconds off of what we thought it would be. So Celsius Chevy's at least quick for one lap, and I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely different.
Given that there's such high speeds and then slow braking zones, where is the toughest part on a track like this?
Anytime you got to touch the throttle or turn the steering wheel right now.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy.
AJ trying to figure it out. Fast for one lap. Got to see what he can do for qualifying with it.
Yeah, and AJ said something really interesting, talking about it just being so sensitive. Brad, it's 75 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't been on a road course when it was this cool all year. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is that, remember that Goodyear, and they're the best people in the world when it comes to trying to figure this stuff out. But a couple 3 degrees makes all the difference in the world in the way these cars are going to handle. And that means, quite simply, tomorrow afternoon, if we have a 5-degree difference, we can have a completely different racetrack here out there this afternoon, and it's all based on ambient temperature. That's what heats up the track. Track doesn't get the temperature they're looking for, and you could have something like what he's talking about, which is a skating rink.
And right now the sun is shining here. It is it's partly cloudy. Like there's a lot of Carolina blue sky. There are a lot of puffy clouds. Tomorrow is supposed to be a little more cloudy, but a beautiful day as well. Without the sun beating on the racetrack, that's going to have a drastic effect on track temperature as well, to your point, Pat.
Two things jumped off the sheet at me, Mark Garrow, that after looking at the first group and how they practiced, Bowman and how slow he was, Zane Smith and how fast he was. Two guys right there that you just kind of jumped off that page at you when it comes. I don't know if it'll go down to qualifying or not. Let's go down to Alan Cavana.
Third on the board for Daniel Suarez. I'm with him now. We know what the speed chart says. How did it feel in your car?
Honestly, it felt worse. Than what lap time shows. I'm not super happy with my car, but I guess everyone is struggling. This is a new tire, so this is something new for everyone. I feel like if we can work on the balance a little bit more, I think we're gonna be decent. But so far the lap times are looking better than the field.
You told me before practice getting into turn 1 that can be a treacherous area. What other parts did you find difficult?
Maybe from corner 1 to 17. Yeah, just struggling with grip. Lacking front for the first lap or two, and then lacking rear after that. Just struggling a little bit. But everyone else is struggling probably even more. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a quite different race than what we have seen here in the past.
All right, Daniel Suarez, happy with the lap time, but looking for grip just like A.J. Allmendinger was. Guys, these are some of the best road course racers we have in the series, and they're mystified right now as to the grip level out there.
Man, great stuff, Alan. I love that. The problem is between corner 1 and corner 17. So looking forward to having Suarez join us for the Xfinity broadcast coming up later on today. We'll come back. Group 2 set to go out for their practice session here at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Hey, Joey Logano here. My pit stop's outside of the track, fueling up with a hunk of pizza from Hunt Brothers Pizza, the fastest on-the-go option for the champion and everyone. To find a location, visit huntbrotherspizza.com.
By downloading the free PRN mobile app, you can listen to all of our live race broadcast anywhere. You'll also have easy access to all of our award-winning studio shows. Get all the latest racing information at your fingertips with the PRN mobile app.
Hi, I'm Kyle Petty, and I want to tell you about a place that's near and dear to my heart, Victory Junction. It's a year-round camp that gives kids with complex medical and physical conditions life-changing experiences that are fun, empowering, and always free for families. Please help Victory Junction support kids who need it the most by getting involved today. Whether you know a child who could benefit, want to volunteer, or join our team, you can be a part of something truly special. Learn more by visiting victoryjunction.org.
Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Coming up, we've got more practice and then qualifying for the Bank of America Roval 400. This is PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
It's a drag race for the race lead. We're racing here in Las Vegas.
The NASCAR Cup Series heads to Vegas.
Bowman on the inside, Austin Cindric on the outside. He'll cut the nose on Alex Bowman, right on his back bumper as they head into one.
Wow, he comes off too like shot out of a cannon. He goes right around Cindric. Now he'll go after Logano.
It is Chevy versus Toyota. Toyota on the inside with Bubba Wallace. He cuts down to the apron.
A South Point 400, Sunday, October 12th at 4:30 Eastern on PRN. Saturday, October 11th. The NASCAR Xfinity Series heads to Vegas.
Jesse Love goes and cuts down in front of Josh Williams. There's Austin Hill, cannot get the outside line going.
Now he drives up beside Jesse Love. Sam Mayer is going to lead that lap as the pack heads back to one. Ryan Sieg moving all over the racetrack, upside, downside.
It's the Focus Tel 302. Saturday, October 11th at 7 Eastern on PRN.
Welcome back to the Roval here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Practice for the Bank of America Roval 400. Group 1 has gone out. Group 2, which does include all of our 12 playoffs drivers, are about to go out as well. A.J. Allmendinger led Group 1. Ty Gibbs was second quick, followed by Daniel Suarez. Kyle Busch, Zane Smith, the top 5. 6 was Carson Hocevar, Justin Haley 7th. 8th, Noah Gragson, John Hunter Nemechek 9th, Ty Dillon 10th.
11th was Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Austin Dillon 12th. 13th, Alex Bowman, Josh Berry 14th. 15th, Ryan Preece, Riley Herb 16th, Cole Custer 17th, Josh Berlicki 18th, 19th, Cody Ware.
Alongside Pat Patterson and Mark Garrow, my name is Brad Gilley. We'll get you some play-by-play as these cars are just now going out onto the racetrack. But another reminder, this weekend, it's a cutoff race. Currently 12 drivers in playoffs contention. And when we leave here tomorrow afternoon, there will be down to 8. Right now, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney have won their way through to the round of 8. Plus 54 points is Kyle Larson. At plus 48, you have Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell plus 44, William Byron plus 40. They're in a pretty good spot. Plus 21 is Chase Briscoe. Plus 13, reigning champion Joey Logano. Minus 13, Ross Chastain. That's going to be tough to make up that many points on the racetrack. Bubba Wallace minus 26, Tyler Reddick minus 29, Austin Cindric minus 48.
Pat, as I look at it, Wallace, Reddick, Cindric, they've got to win. I don't know how you make up 26, 29 in 48 points.
No, I agree with you. It's unless, of course, we can turn the apple cart totally over, with the guys that are in front of them. But no, I agree with that. I think it's going to take a checkered flag.
And Ross Chastain, 13, that's doable, right? You get some stage points, that's doable. But I think the fly in the ointment completely is Shane Van Gisbergen, right? Because he has been the dominator on the road courses this year, and he's got nothing to lose, everything to gain, to go out there and do it again.
And we're about to find out, because I honestly believe that there may be a big difference between the practice speeds in that first group and what we're getting ready to see with this group. So let's check it out and see kind of where this bunch is versus that first group that was out.
Let's pick up our defending race winner. Kyle Larson's picked up 2 trophies from the Bank of America Roval 400. He heads to 1.
Yeah, it was a trio of Hendrick Motorsports cars leading him off of pit lane. Kyle Larson, the first one to pop into my view, sliding his way through turn number 2. William Byron, Chase Elliott giving chase as Kyle Larson sets up for the right-hander of 3.
Pretty good separation between those 3. Good to get a lap in at pace here. Kyle Larson sees it whittle ever so slightly at the exit of turn number 4. William Byron giving chase. They all work their way up the right-hander. Chase Elliott, the caboose of that train, as they crest the hill in turn number 5.
Read into what you wish, but Larson's gapped him a little bit through that infield stretch as he's on the binders hard and down to first gear, points straight off of turn 7, and then it's several car lengths back to William Byron, who's pulling Chase Elliott, last week's winner, right behind.
Yeah, Kyle Larson trying to find a little momentum here at the end of this season, makes his way through turn number 9, has about a 15 car length advantage, maybe even more so as he sets up for turn number 10, as he got William Byron right behind him, also the machine of Chase Elliott. They make their way through the chicane.
Let's pick up William Byron and Chase Elliott. William Byron's left side Goodyear's now hit the 24 degrees of banking. A few car lengths behind him is Chase Elliott in a bright green Chevrolet as he grips the bottom of the racetrack on 14.
So Kyle Larson has completed his first lap. It is 13th quick overall. And as we look on the racetrack, Andrew, I'm picking up now SVG in the back chicane, followed by Bubba Wallace and Ross Chastain.
Yeah, SVG, one of the best to do it on road courses right now, is about half a foot off of the banking. Right behind him, Bubba Wallace, who's in much need of a win this weekend at the Roval.
Shane Van Gisbergen getting those tires up to temperature. That first lap for him was 21st quick, but this is going to be a good hot one. Being chased closely by the white and purple car of Bubba Wallace and the Busch Light Chevrolet of Ross Chastain.
Boy, it's just fun to watch Shane Van Gisbergen throw a race car around the road course like the Roval. Nice and smooth through turn number 2. Swings it out towards the outside wall, then swings it back to the left. Gets a nice angle into turn 3 for Shane Van Gisbergen.
No question that early on in this particular grouping, the activity much greater. Lots of track activity early on in this practice session as Shane Van Gisbergen slides it up the hill towards turn number 5. Little Cressy stays on that red-white curving duck curve over the far left.
Which swings him out through turn number 6, the blind right-hander. Now the Kiwi on the brakes, Shane Van Gisbergen, but very smoothly. No surprise here for this road racing ace as he pulls Bubba Wallace and Ross Chastain with him into turn 8, Michael Young.
Yeah, Van Gisbergen works his way up through the gears. Good learning point for Bubba Wallace. He's about 10 car lengths behind, watching the line of Shane Van Gisbergen. The road course ace, makes his way down that back straightaway. He sets up for turn 10, Bubba Wallace, and Ross Chastain in tow.
Bubba Wallace, a guy who needs anything he can get when it comes to road course racing. Right now stalking one of the best in Shane Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen now straddles the white and blue line as he screams into 13 and off of 14.
So Shane Van Gisbergen leading that trio, but when you look at the scoring, only 17th quickest. Lap 1, 23rd. He moved up to 17th on lap 2.
Mark, Ross Chastain was one of the 2 drivers chasing Shane Van Gisbergen. He actually had a lap time quicker than Shane Van Gisbergen. One thing he told us in the playoffs media day that we had before the playoffs even started, I'm going to have my car set up exactly like Shane Van Gisbergen. I did it at Watkins Glen. I was able to kind of keep pace with him up until the final stage. Then he drove off to the win, and I finished 10th. He spent a lot of time, Chastain, in the simulator trying to learn Shane Van Gisbergen's driving style. That's something not a lot of drivers are willing to do because they've been doing this long enough that they have their left and right foot pedal work kind of set in stone. That's what they do. Van Gisbergen's is different than every other driver in the way that he works the throttle, the brake, and the clutch. Chastain, I admire him for trying to try something new that works.
Pat, how many times we've seen a young driver going through some teething problems and trying to, catch up to a faster teammate? And I remember Kevin Harvick telling one teammate, and I'll leave the name out, going like, you're improving, and you're going to get better, and you're going to be a winner, you can be all that. but I'm still got a 20-year head start on you, and I'm not standing still.
Well, and I think it's always important to point out, and I know you guys have said this as well. I'm not sure what Shane Van Gisbergen right at this minute is working on. I'm really not sure. He's not necessarily trying to run the fastest lap he can run. That's called qualifying. What he's trying to do right now is to see what kind of a consistent time he can get going around this racetrack. And I think that's what he needs to work on more than anything else. I'm not going to read too much into his time versus like where Allmendinger's at this moment. But as far as you're talking about, the best way to learn sometimes for a lot of guys is visually. And you do that by following somebody that's really good, and he's really good.
Let's go down to Alan Cavana. What can you add to this, Alan?
It's been in terms of what SVG and the plan was. I talked to his crew chief, Stephen Doran, before practice, and he says, look, ideally, we go out there, we run straight through this entire practice, hopefully get a 15-lap run to test our consistency, to see how we are on that long run. There's no doubt about Shane's talent, right? There's no doubt about what Shane can do out there on the racetrack, but they want to make sure they get the setup and have that long run consistency everybody's looking for. That was the plan, at least going in.
Ross Chastain just passed Bubba Wallace in turn number 7. He is pulled away from Wallace. See if he can chase down his Trackhouse racing teammate, SVG.
Going to be interesting for Chastain as he exits the chicane, Andrew.
Yeah, Ross Chastain beginning to gap Bubba Wallace as he's starting to put some real estate between he and the 2311 machine. Further back, it's the number 45 of Tyler Reddick, who's also a Neva win, as he makes a beeline off of 14.
Also picking up Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano. They just made it through turn 1.
Yeah, they're solid on the steering wheel. The left-hander of turn number 2. Rear end of Denny Hamlin's car. A little out of shape. He woes it down smoothly. Mark James gets it through turn 3.
Ryan Blaney, a big wiggle off of turn number 4. He climbs back into it, gets it leveled out, if you will. He starts to climb the hill. There goes Denny Hamlin. He makes the right-hander, gets the right side to the bottom, and the familiar wide swing off of turn number 5.
And down the hill into 6th, the right-hand turn, Denny Hamlin, he exits it a little wide. Joey Logano behind him clips up some dirt, as some drivers had in the bottom of 6th. On the brakes hard through turn 7. They both get through cleanly, do Logano and Hamlin, and they don't squeak their tires, which is important.
And Denny Hamlin didn't take that car out to the wall like many of the other drivers we've seen. Hamlin about 8 car lengths ahead of Joey Logano, makes his way through turn number 9 and sets up for that chicane here in the back straightaway. About a 10 car length advantage, puts those left sides of the curbing working turn 11.
Denny Hamlin, the Toyota, followed shortly behind by Joey Logano in the Ford. Both of them tiptoe their way through the chicane, now back up through the gearbox. It's Denny Hamlin in the Progressive Toyota, followed shortly behind by Joey Logano in the Pennzoil Ford.
Looking at group number 2 here, group 1 was markedly faster, and track conditions constantly evolve as the day goes. A.J. Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs from group 1, they were the fastest. Fastest 2 cars in group 2, Kyle Larson 7th overall, Christopher Bell 9th overall. Then Ross Chastain in 16th, Shane Van Gisbergen 17th, Chris Buescher 18th, William Byron 20th. Most of these drivers, Mark and Pat, in group number 2 are on the bottom half of the speed chart, comparatively speaking, to group number 1.
And that goes for Elliott, Blaney, Reddick, McDowell, Wallace, and Logano.
Nick Yeoman, what can you tell us about what's happening out there?
Yeah, here's something important to probably point out. When Group 1 was on the racetrack, the partly cloudy skies kind of rolled in and covered up the sun. Well, over the last 5 or 6 minutes, really since everyone in Group 2 has been on the racetrack, that sun is beating down on the racetrack. So it's cooking it, bringing that temperature up, guys. So maybe that explains why we're still seeing a lot of drivers from Group 1 at the top of the scoring pylon.
Yeah, that's a good point, Nick. And I think, again, this track has notoriously, forever, Mark Garrow, been known to really change it. Just the slightest little bit of sunshine can change things here, and you got a lot more asphalt to work with here than just for the oval itself.
How many guys have won the Coca-Cola 300?
A lot.
And then the lights come on, and you think you got a world beater, and you go to jump.
Yeah, it is amazing, just the temperature sensitivity here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We have 14 minutes left for Group 2 practice before we qualify for the Bank of America Roval 400 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Progressive knows not all rides are smooth. Meet Peter. He loves his motorcycle. What he doesn't love is wind. Which is ironic, because wind is a big part of the whole wind-in-your-face motorcycle cliche. But nobody ever tells you how relentless a strong crosswind is, or the cliche wouldn't exist. Not every ride is smooth, but Progressive has your back. Get a quote to see if you can save with America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in D.C.
Hey folks, it's Doug Rice. Did you know you can take PRN with you anywhere? By downloading the PRN mobile app, you can listen to our live races just about any place on the planet, and you will not miss a second of the action. Plus, you can hear our shows like the fantastic editions of Fast Talk, plus Brett McMillan on the Pit Reporters and Mark Garrow with Garage Pass. Get all the latest racing information right at your fingertips. The PRN mobile app, available at the Apple App Store and on Google Play.
In fabulous Las Vegas, pedal to the metal is all we know on or off the racetrack, whether you're there for NASCAR next weekend, live music, incredible restaurants, or world-class entertainment. Vegas is the town that never slows down. With so many ways to play and so much to explore, Fabulous Las Vegas encourages you to go all out. Head to visitlasvegas.com for more. From the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway, this is PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Get your NASCAR fix with PRN's Garage Pass.
It's hard to just turn it around in 1 week, but I wouldn't be shocked if we did.
I don't think the results have been what we have hoped for or expected, but I think the potential in the cars and the speed has been pretty good.
You know, it's a big deal already, so that's a big positive for us. So I think now it's just about working together and getting better.
I think the Penske cars are still elite when it comes to plate racing.
Hi, I'm Mark Garrow, tracking the latest racing news every weekday.
We all play a role in keeping our community safe.
Every day, we move in and out of each other's busy lives.
It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good, others not so much.
But that's life.
It's when something doesn't seem quite right that it's time to pay attention.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
As we watched this practice session a moment ago from about 10 car lengths back, SVG rolled up on Austin Cindric, passed him, and in one lap, he's gapped him about 20 car lengths.
Not necessarily any kind of surprise. Again, goes back to what we were talking about. What are you trying to figure out? But Austin Cindric is a very accomplished road racer.
That's my point. He's a very good road racer.
Exactly right. So, again, that's getting the best information. When you look at the 10-lap averages right now, or best overall averages, you got the two guys at the top that you figured you would. That's Larson and SVG.
Yeah, that is interesting because we talked about earlier, group number 2 has been a lot slower than group number 1. Track conditions have changed, as Nick Yeoman described, but the overall average, Kyle Larson is fastest, followed by Shane Van Gisbergen, Chris Buescher, who does have the best overall record on road courses in the next-gen car, Christopher Bell, William Byron, Ross Chastain, the top 6 in that category. And it's going to be overall average. You're going to need that. At some point, we're going to have a longer run tomorrow in the Bank of America Roval 400. This lap, the total distance of it, 400 miles, 109 laps. The final stage of this race is going to be a 59-lap run to the checkered flag. So you're going to need that average speed and be able to maintain and protect your car as well.
Also need to know exactly what my fuel mileage is going to be all about. Because if you don't think fuel mileage will come into play tomorrow, you haven't seen a Roval race.
Great point, Pat Patterson. Kyle Larson coming to pit road for the first time. Let's follow Christopher Bell. He's a former winner of the Roval, crosses the start-finish line, and heads into turn number 1.
Yep, comes to the Toyota camp. Joe Gibbs Racing, nice and smooth into turn number 1 for Christopher Bell. There's plenty of room between himself and the outside retaining wall. Gets that nice arcing angle, stabs the brake now for the right-hander of turn 3 for Christopher Bell.
William Byron running well ahead. He exits turn number 4, setting up for turn number 5 just about the time that the Walt machine exits turn number 4. A bit of a wiggle, but he gathers it back in and gets the right side to the bottom of the racetrack. Now the wide swing up the hill. He'll crest the hill and head toward turn number 6.
As William Byron's at turn number 7, he has struggled with that the last 2 laps of this session. Christopher Bell is looking mighty tidy between 6 and 7. He's hard on the brakes, points straight, doesn't lock up his tires, and Bell is down and away and back under the banking with Chase Elliott behind.
A little further back, Shane Van Gisbergen just got by Joey Logano, but will go back forward to watch Christopher Bell. He'll negotiate turn number 9. left side's down on that white and blue line. Looks good, smooth. Put that right side right against that outside retaining wall, headed to the chicane.
Christopher Bell walks the tightrope. That is turns 10, 11, and 12. Now he'll climb the banking into turn 13 and 14. Christopher Bell about a half foot off of that line as he sails off of 14.
Now again on the binders, begins downshifting into 15, coming up on the hard right-hander in 16. Christopher Bell's one of the most consistent qualifiers we have. Top 10 when it comes to drivers who have qualified top 10 all season. He's done it 14 times. He's also top 10 average starting position. So he seems to be always tuned up for qualifying. Only one pole position this year, but a very consistent qualifier.
Yeah, and his DeWalt Toyota this week actually has somewhat of a snake paint scheme on it, a special paint
python.
A python.
A boy.
Yeah, for a young kid who has his own python. So
yeah.
Kind of a neat thing, a great story behind that. Alan Cavano, what can you tell us about our defending race winner?
Well, Kyle Larson came into the pits a bit earlier than expected. You'd figure a fast team wants to get as long as run of a possible. But you look at the right side of the car, guys, he kissed the wall going down in turn 1, which is going down from the main part of the raceway into the infield. He kissed the wall coming off that corner, so they wanted to assess the damage. It doesn't look too worse for wear, but you can clearly see on both wheel wells where he has scraped the wall on the right side. Not too much panic down there, but they just told him on the radio, look, no need to be that aggressive right now. We have a fast race car, so they brought it down. They're going to fix it for qualifying.
Pat Patterson, when it comes to oval racing, you coined the phrase the Larson lane to describe what he can do up against the wall. Sometimes he gets a little too close. Happened here today. I don't know if he's trying to create a new Larson lane turning left and right.
Well, Kyle Larson's going to push it as far as he can, and sometimes as far as he can is right next to an immovable object. So, yeah, that is what he does. But there are a lot of lanes, and there are a lot of guys now that have learned from Larson. And when you look at some of these close-up shots that we get from the video that we're able to see, there's a lot of guys that are really uptight next to the wall.
Coming by us here on the start-finish line, Danny Hamlin out of shape, nearly gets into the fence. Shane Van Gisbergen on his rear deck lid.
Yeah, Shane Van Gisbergen makes that pass. Denny Hamlin struggled a little bit, 30th fastest right now. As for SVG, he runs 17th. So you'll see Van Gisbergen first, Mark James, leading Denny Hamlin, Austin Cindric, and others through 3.
Chase Elliott runs well in front of them. He's long gone off of turn number 4. And then 4 cars make their way off of turn number 4, headed up by Shane Van Gisbergen. Then the car of Denny Hamlin. They all work their way up the hill now as they work their way into turn number 6.
And Van Gisbergen's already gapped Hamlin by about 5 cars or so as they head down the hill out of 6. Let's see how they negotiate 7. Van Gisbergen, no tire lockups, very smooth. Hamlin the same way, followed by Austin Cindric. And yes, Todd Gilliland has made a lot of laps this session.
Yeah, Todd Gilliland goes way high as we see the machine of Austin Cindric go extremely low. As a matter of fact, Shane Van Gisbergen just a lap ago saw Austin Cindric allow him by. Van Gisbergen already 20 car lengths over Denny Hamlin. Then it's the machine of Austin Cindric, Todd Gilliland. They're all through their chicane.
All 4 cars woe their way down to second gear as Shane Van Gisbergen leads that pack onto the banking, followed by Denny Hamlin, Austin Cindric, and Todd Gilliland, who all cling the bottom line of the racetrack. All 4 cars screaming off of 14.
Pat, every time Shane Van Gisbergen comes off the banking, he's about a half a lane up, a little higher than everybody else. And it's very consistent, so he has a little bit of a different line around this place than other guys as well.
Mark, everything about road racing is rhythmic. You want to feel a rhythm, and for somebody like Gisbergen, he's looking for exactly what he thinks he needs to feel all afternoon tomorrow afternoon, and he's putting the car in exactly the same space each and every time, you know what I mean? So that's the reason so many people want to tag on to him and ride behind him a time or two to go, oh, wow, I should be out here a little bit more, or I'm going to go try this. And you watch Denny Hamlin. He walked away from Denny Hamlin just a minute ago, probably working on something different, but nevertheless, he needed to see what Van Gisbergen's doing.
If you're going to follow him, you may get 4 or 5 turns, maybe a lap.
If you're lucky, 1 or 2.
And maybe a lap where you can at least still see the back of the car. A lot of guys like to fall in behind him, and he just it's got to be demoralizing. You think, oh, I'm going to follow him, see what I can do, and he just leaves you.
Well, even going back, Mark, back in the day, which I hate to go back in the day, but, there were guys that have come along in the road racing deal. Rusty was like that back in the day. He was a guy that needed to follow. Bodine got really good at
Jeff
doing.
Gordon.
And Jeff Gordon was awfully good at it as well. Ricky Rudd was really good at setting pace when we would race those 2 road races a year. That's the way that's how the field gets better, is guys like Van Gisbergen makes them be better.
So Van Gisbergen just got around Chase Elliott. Here's one of the things about him. He's not made the fastest lap on the track. In fact, he's 17th overall. But the one thing, Nick Yeoman, that works for Van Gisbergen, he knows how to keep his car fast as the run goes on.
Yeah, it's the raceability. I think we can almost throw the times out the window right now. It's based on what we're seeing with the eyeballs. And Mark James liking what I'm seeing right now from Shane Van Gisbergen.
Well, and oftentimes, Nick, you know this, that in a practice session, you've already figured out where you need to be better. You're going to feel good about your qualifying car, maybe from the time you climb into it for practice. And so there may be one sector of this racetrack, Doug Turnbull, that he's attacking over and over again in an effort to get faster there.
One thing about every sector of the track, Mark, is that it's in cloud cover now. Now, that's not going to make these speeds equal the first session, especially when they have these newer tires or older tires here, but that's definitely helping these drivers gain some grip.
And for Shane Van Gisbergen, this has been a practice session of consistency. You'll see gaps maybe stay the same lap after lap, and then he'll gap himself a couple of tenths or so. This time, he's about 20 car lengths in front of Kyle Larson. So it's that consistency, Andrew, that we've seen, especially as he goes through that chicane, just so smooth here at the Roval.
Exactly that. He is one of the best to do it over the long run as he tiptoes his way through the chicane, now about a foot off of the bottom group of the racetrack off of 14.
Shane Van Gisbergen now hits the front stretch chicane once again. It is a tight right-hand corner. The cars low up. Kyle Larson's able to tighten up to his back bumper as well as we go down to pit road in Alan Cavana.
And the longer we go, the better SVG looks out there on the racetrack and on the speed charts in terms of the long-run speeds, but also on the radio from his competitors, both on the 9 radio of Chase Elliott and the 1 radio of Ross Chastain. They're telling their drivers that the longer we go, we're losing ground to the 88, but that seems like it's the entire field it's happening to. So SVG doing his thing out there.
So interestingly enough, as they came by the finish line, Kyle Larson closing in on SVG, he moved over, let Kyle go by. Now, as we look out on the race course, heading towards Doug Turnbull, he's chasing Larson.
That's correct. Yeah, Larson on newer tires. He came in and made an adjustment to, or a newer setup anyway. He's exiting 7 now, and SVG, who let him by, is only Michael Young, several car lengths behind as he's on the bottom of the racetrack and comes back to the banking.
Yeah, trying to get up through that gearbox is Shane Van Gisbergen. So Kyle Larson already exiting turn number 9, Van Gisbergen to the midway point of turn number 9. Right underneath me, that was the car of Kyle Larson. There's Shane Van Gisbergen. They'll work their way through turn 10.
Just behind SVG is Todd Gilliland, who's been making moves the last couple of laps. He's closely stalked by Austin Cindric as they go through 10, 11, and 12. Now they hit the high banks. Todd Gilliland hitting the middle groove of the racetrack. He'll now inch down low towards the bottom of the racetrack as Austin Cindric follows closely behind.
Shane Van Gisbergen now coming to pit road for the first time. 15 laps he made on the racetrack. We only have 40 seconds left in this practice session, but we have Todd Gilliland heavily chased by Austin Cindric as they head back to the infield in 1.
Yeah, and I'm glad Andrew pointed out Todd Gilliland has looked pretty racy in this practice session. Now he's going to get a chance to duel a bit with Austin Cindric. They stay in the racing line. A lot of marbles starting to accumulate the outside of turn number 2. It's Cindric, then Gilliland, Mark James into turn 3.
And again, these drivers on long runs setting up their race car, feeling as though they have a pretty good idea where they stand when it comes to qualifying. They want to have good race cars. That's what they're working on right now as Austin Cindric is the first one to the crest of the hill. And Doug Turnbull, we see the caution line.
That's correct here. As the practice session winds down to 0, we see Todd Gilliland chasing Austin Cindric. Cindric, by the way, outside the top 30 in this practice here. That's a concern for that playoff driver. But Todd Gilliland chases him up the banking there. A pair of blue ovals coming toward you, Michael Young.
Yeah, Todd Gilliland trying to close that gap between he and Austin Cindric. Cindric with a good launch out of turn number 7. We'll call it 8 car lengths. But the last time through, Austin Cindric had all kinds of problems in turn 11. As a matter of fact, that back end washed out on him. This time he enters turn number 10. Looks smooth thus far.
The two of them will negotiate the chicane on the back straightaway for the final time. Austin Cindric very smooth through that section of the racetrack. Now he climbs to 24 degrees of banking as he heads towards the alternate start-finish line at the end of this practice, guys.
And that is pretty much going to wrap up practice. A couple of more cars still out there on the racetrack. Ross Chastain will cross the timing line for the final time. You've got Chase Briscoe who will cross the timing line for the final time. And Mark, it looks like one of them didn't realize practice
He
was
just
over.
missed pit road.
Austin Cindric was coming off turn 4 like, no, it looks like he was getting ready to make another lap.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. It's good that he didn't make another lift.
Yeah, and he's going to have to go all the way back around the racetrack. And
He's
everyone's
going to cheat. He's going to cheat. Look, he cheated. He's going to go back the other way.
Yeah, so he turned around. He better stop because we still have some cars coming in hot. But at least that's a good thing. If he went all the way around at caution speed, every single team would have to wait for him before the 10-minute clock for adjustment starts. So at least now he's taking the short way around.
They had another kind of roval right there. Made an oval out of the chicane. That could be an interesting little race right there.
I like that. And it was all right-hand corners. In the way that
make everybody feel at home.
Let's give a rundown of where we are here in practice today. Most of the faster cars were in Group 1. Track conditions were a little bit different, so we'll give you the full field combined. A.J. Allmendinger, fastest overall. Second quick was Ty Gibbs. Daniel Suarez, third. Kyle Busch was fourth. Fifth, Zane Smith. Carson Hocevar, sixth. The fastest in Group 2, Kyle Larson, seventh overall. Justin Haley, eighth. Christopher Bell, ninth. Noah Gregson, 10th.
11th, John Hunter Nemechek. Ty Dillon, 12th. 13th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Austin Dillon, 14th. 15th, Alex Bowman. Ross Chastain from the second group is 16th. Shane Van Gisbergen, 17th. Then it was Chris Buescher, 18th. 19th, Josh Berry. William Byron in 20th.
We'll give you the rest of the rundown after we check in with Alan Cavana.
And I've got Shane Van Gisbergen right here. Look in the charts at least. The longer you went, it looked like the better the 88 got. What did you learn out there?
Yeah, I don't know. Our timing disappeared. I don't know where we are on speed, so probably need to make it a little bit quicker. It's not really good, but I guess our long run was okay, but yeah.
17th overall in one lap.
Yeah, so pretty average there. We need to get a bit faster. But yeah, WeatherTech Chevy looks good. I just need to get a bit more speed out of it.
There was a lot of question about the tire, what you want to learn, what it may do. What did you experience?
It's crazy. It's a lot slower than last year and a lot less grip. So, yeah, we really need to change our car to try and get some grip back in it and look after the tire a little better. Yeah, it's amazing. We did 26s and ended up at 30s. So probably going to be a good race for the fans, but frustrating for the drivers all sliding around.
They'll change the car a little bit. What do you have to change as a driver?
I just need to be a bit more accurate, be a bit better. And then I just need to switch the tire on quicker somehow with my driving. So, yeah, it paid off, I guess, because I was easy on them, but I need to be faster on one lap.
All right, that's Shane Van Gisbergen. Think about how good he is already. He says he has to get better.
Thank you, Alan. That might be the most talkative Shane Van Gisbergen we've heard in a while. You can tell he is very engaged as to what's happening here. Let's give you the rest of the rundown here. 21st quick was Ryan Preece. He was in Group 1. Riley Herbst was 22nd. Chase Elliott 23rd. Ryan Blaney 24th. And we just lost our practice timing, but fortunately we have a backup here. So beyond Ryan Blaney, we look at 25th, Tyler Reddick. Michael McDowell 26th. 27th was Bubba Wallace. 28th was Joey Logano. 29th, Cole Custer. 30th, Denny Hamlin.
31st, Todd Gilliland. Chase Briscoe 32nd. Austin Cindric 33rd. Eric Jones, 34th. Brad Keselowski, 35th. Josh Bilicki, 36th. 37th, Cody Ware.
We will come back and get set to qualify for the Bank of America Roval 400.
Whether your engine runs daily or only when you need it, Z-Max Micro Lubricant is the force you need against carbon buildup that can damage your engine. Combustion causes carbon and other harmful deposits to build up in your engine, fuel system, and transmission. And carbon is like sandpaper rubbing against your engine's internal parts. You don't want that. You want Z-Max Micro Lubricant. It soaks into metal and keeps your vehicle running at peak performance. Find out more at zmax.com or visit us on Facebook and Twitter. Protect your engine to the max with Z-Max.
Hi, I'm Kyle Petty, and I want to tell you about a place that's near and dear to my heart, Victory Junction. It's a year-round camp that gives kids with complex medical and physical conditions life-changing experiences that are fun, empowering, and always free for families. Please help Victory Junction support kids who need it the most by getting involved today. Whether you know a child who could benefit, want to volunteer, or join our team, you can be a part of something truly special. Learn more by visiting victoryjunction.org.
Coming up next, qualifying for the Bank of America Roval 400 from Charlotte Motor Speedway. This is PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Hi, this is Brett McMillan. The opinions fly fast and furious each week on the Pit Reporters.
Every other major league sport has a playoff system, so I think the playoff system should stay. I do think there's maybe slight middle ground where there could be some changes that are made.
I do remember seasons where this championship had been decided well before the last few races, so it just isn't quite the same vibe that we have now.
Join us each week for the Pit Reporters.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time-to-talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to qualifying for the Bank of America Roval 400 alongside Pat Patterson and Mark Garrow. My name is Brad Gilley. We're 5 minutes away from Group 1 rolling for a 20-minute qualifying session. But right now, we go down to pit road in Alan Cavana.
And I'm with Kyle Larson. An eventful practice for Larson. Let's talk about kissing the wall off one. What happened?
Just kissed the wall off one. I don't know. I just, you're just lacking a lot of grip as you go and trying to still maximize everything. So, yeah, just barely kissed the wall, but no big deal.
All right, before then, it looked like the 5 car was going pretty well. How would you assess the speed and the longevity of your car?
Yeah, I thought we had good speed, so I guess I wouldn't have kissed the wall and just kind of played it out. But up to that point, I felt things were going okay with our car, and just it was a good practice. So we'll try to just study here and get better.
All right, Kyle Larson has the iPad in his hand right now, pointing out what he did, what he didn't do. That information goes to the team, can help him out. It got loud down here. We're still going to let him work.
All right, thank you very much, Alan. Just kiss the wall, no big deal.
That's Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
You know.
That is
He's
incredible.
on dirt. He's up at the top of the racetrack hunting the grip up there, and he just has a knack for that. Pat, I'll ask you a question. You've raced cars, and they talk about, talking about ice, right? They're sliding on top. You want a car in the ground, right? You want that feeling where it's in the racetrack. What's it like when it's in the racetrack, and what's it like when it's not?
Well, exactly as you would imagine. What you feel is that, where you really feel the power in a race car is when you go back to the throttle. From whether you're in the middle of a corner at a short track like Caraway or whether you're running, to pick a racetrack anywhere around the country, where you really feel like it's digging is when you can go back to the gas, right? On flat racetracks, that's hard to do. On road courses, it's really hard to do. Those guys down there right now are looking at what SVG ran for that 15 laps or so, okay? And you heard him. You ever heard SVG as talkative as he was just a minute ago with Alan Cavana? Right? So Alan called him right at the right time when he was rolling in his head going, I'm off he's not punishing the tires. His secret to success is he doesn't heat those tires up the way other guys do. But even in doing that and setting the pace out there, he's still trying to think to himself, okay, that's great for long runs, but that's not going to get you what you want for a qualifying lap. So everybody down there now is going to try to figure out, how can I really drive the wheels off this thing to get a good starting position? A lot different than what they're going to face and worry about tomorrow.
And again, a year ago, Shane Van Gisbergen started this race on the pole position with Tyler Reddick on the front row.
He did. The one thing that I'm enjoying, this is the race fan in me, and Shane Van Gisbergen did a great job describing it. A.J. Allmendinger did a great job describing it. The driver's talking about just how hard this track is to drive right now. And when Van Gisbergen's talking about the amount of lap time drop-off as the tires wear out, remember, he only went out there for 15 laps. I say only 15 laps is a long way around this 2.32-mile road course circuit here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. But for the people who are coming to the Bank of America Roval 400 tomorrow, the people who are coming here today for the Xfinity Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina 250, I think we're in for a show because the drivers are going to be fighting the racetrack where they're going to be fighting each other as well.
No, there's no question about that. And if you look in qualifying, and I'm sure Doug Turnbull, especially over there in his area, what he's going to see, what Alan's going to see going into the chicanes down here and so forth, is going to be the harder you drive the car, chances are the slower you're going to be. But at the same time, if you don't get that fine line of pushing it as hard as you possibly can without losing the rear end, you can completely destroy a lap in one corner at this racetrack. And there's 17 of them.
Absolutely, Pat. And I think that, again, as you talked about, is the key to Shane Van Gisbergen. As you're trying to chase him or hold him off, he's still conserving tire, the way he drives the race car. And it seems these guys, they can hang with him or hold him off for a little while, but eventually pushing as hard as they're pushing, their tires just fall off the cliff.
You force people into mistakes. I mean, the way you win these races is you force the guy that's trying to catch you, to go past that limit, to have himself a hard time in this corner or that corner. Consistency seemingly always wins these races. And more than anything else, Shane is very, very consistent in what he does.
Let's set this up. We're about to now have two 20-minute sessions, Group 1 and Group 2 for qualifying. They each go out. They have 20 minutes. They can make 2 laps. They can make 15. It depends on what they think they have time for or where they think their car can be fast. Group 1 is about to go out for their time session. Remember, now they are on fresh sticker Goodyear tires. Alan Cavana, what's happening trackside?
I've got Joey Logano, who's just breaking it down with his teammates. We heard a lot about a loose tire, a new tire. What'd you feel on this new tire on this track?
There ain't much of it left by the end, I can tell you that much. The tire polish is incredible, which is cool. I don't think any of us really seen that much coming. I think we expected more tire wear, but that's like, holy cow, more tire wear. So it's I think everybody on pit road is probably in panic mode right now trying to figure out what to do.
What do you do as a driver? They'll fix the car, they'll make an adjustment. What do you have to do as a driver? What does that mean to you?
I'm going to go qualify, and then I'm going to figure out which way's up from there. So a lot to look at tonight, but I got some thoughts, but a lot more to look at.
All right, the defending champion still trying to keep it that way, has some homework to do, he says.
So we have drop-off, and we have holy cow drop-off. So we now go the top end of it.
Well, and it's the balance. You're just trying to find the balance, the best balance for you and what you feel in your race car. Logano knows how much brake he's using going to each one of these corners, and he knows that the less brake he can apply but not lose speed means that he's going to save the tire. It's the fight for that balance which just baffles everybody when it comes to trying to figure out how good is my car. Right now, if you look at the board, Fords aren't very good. You take Chris Buescher out of the mix right now, and the Fords themselves look like they're really struggling right now, at least in the practice portion of what we're doing here.
All right, Andrew Curlin, we got the first cars hitting the chicane. What are they looking like out there?
Yeah, the first cars are hitting. That's A.J. Allmendinger, who was fast in that first practice session. He jerked the wheel to the left, right, and now eases it back to the left. He's going to use as much banking as he can, riding closer to the wall, and now will arc down low to start his lap as he sails off of 14.
A.J. Allmendinger into the front stretch chicane. Left, now again hard to the right. He clips the curb coming back to the left. He's being followed by Ty Dillon, also in this trio across the stripe, John Hunter Nemechek.
Well, A.J. Allmendinger told Alan Cavana he really wasn't good at any of the corners. You got to have 17 perfect ones if you want to grab pole. So far, so good for A.J. Allmendinger. A little wiggle at the exit of turn 2. The former open wheel star dives into turn 3, Mark.
You just wonder how good he's going to be once he does get it figured out after that performance in that first session. A lot of head scratching going on for sure. We'll see if he gets it figured out throughout the extent of this qualifying section as he sets up for turn number 5.
He's up and down the hill through 5 and then pretty smoothly through 6 and carrying a lot of speed, not hard on the brakes, but don't get on him now. Shifted down to first gear, almost locks up the tires in turn 7 with his teammate Ty Dillon behind. A.J. Allmendinger executes onto the banking.
One thing A.J. Allmendinger did not see in that practice session that he was partaking of was shade down here on the south end. Now the sun starting to blanket the north end of the course. A.J. Allmendinger sets up for the chicane where he'll be greeted by some sunshine.
He had a full head of steam going into the chicane chicane on his driver's right side. He hit the bumps. Now he negotiates his way up onto the banking, clinging to that bottom yellow line, hugging the paint as best as he can as he comes across the stripe to finish his first qualifying lap.
A.J. Allmendinger is going to pull it down to pit road, so that first lap for him, the speed 94.772 miles per hour. Ty Dillon, teammate, second quick, 94.269, a half a mile per hour slower for Ty Dillon and his teammate A.J. Allmendinger.
Zane Smith now third, John Hunter Nemechek fourth, and I believe Josh Bilicki about to finish his run. So A.J. Allmendinger has set the early time and speed to beat. Allmendinger a year ago qualified third for the Roval.
Yeah, and it looks like Kyle Busch is getting on his warm-up lap, so when he gets up to speed, remember he was fourth quick in practice earlier. One of the drivers here who would love to make something big happen is so far this season he's been winless. We know Kyle Busch is going to have a new crew chief next year because Connor Zilic is going to get Randall Burnett, who has been Kyle Busch's crew chief. But this weekend, Andy Street from Richard Childress Racing has now assumed the crew chief duties of the number 8, with Randall Burnett exiting the organization at the end of the year.
The only race, I will argue, this year that Kyle Busch had a serious chance to win was at the Circuit of the Americas, was at COTA.
Yeah.
And after that, really hasn't had that kind of chance again. So maybe back on a road course could be something good for Kyle Busch.
Yeah, he definitely had a lot of race-winning speed at COTA. Unfortunately, things just simply didn't pan out for him in that one. In fact, they didn't pan out for Shane Van Gisbergen either, because it was actually Christopher Bell, the only driver who has won on a road course this year, whose name is not Shane Van Gisbergen. All right, here comes Kyle Busch. He's on his time lap. He locks it up in turn number 16. That's the left-hander before the short right-hander when they hit the front straightaway. Now Kyle Busch heads back to the infield in one.
Yeah, no doubt going to be a lot of Kyle Busch fans here this weekend. Love to see a throwback weekend, vintage performance from Rowdy out of turn number 2. Line looks pretty good. Car looks stable. Kyle Busch hard on the brakes as he blends his way through turn 3.
So technical through here that Smooth is fast. He goes way wide. There's an entrance to the infield portion there, and he almost drove it into that wall. But fortunately, he wants to use as much of that racetrack as he possibly can to carry momentum through turn number 4. Let's see how he does as he glides it over the hill to the exit of turn 5.
And he locks up the tires before wiggling into turn number 6. Lost time there. Let's see if he gained enough speed to smoke tires in turn 7. He did not, but Kyle Busch there, not loving putting that dust on those tires, if you will, Michael Young, as he heads to you.
He's certainly pushing that car on this, his first lap of qualifications, trying to get a good speed down this back straightaway. Again, was fourth in that practice session. Looks smooth as he enters the chicane and enters turn number 10.
It's certainly a no-holds-barred lap for Kyle Busch as he negotiates the chicane. Left, right, and an easy left as he climbs onto the banking, uses as much apron as he can, as he will actually go below the line and just now crosses over onto the banking as he completes his first qualifying lap.
Kyle Busch, 5th overall, smoked the tires in the front straightaway chicane, turn 16, smoked him again going in.
I think, honestly, I think he missed the right-hander, the first initial right-hander coming up here to the green flag. I think that was a problem for Kyle Busch, just like we just saw this guy go completely. Austin Dillon just completely missed the corner down here in 16 and 17.
When you miss a corner, so painting the picture and describing as they come off the banking on the north side of the racetrack, that would be the pit road entrance side. They actually dive down through the grass. And
second car just did the same thing. Hocevar just did the exact same thing over here.
Right.
It just missed the corner completely. That's just going so far past the limit there that you have no choice just to let the car go through the grass and suffer the consequences of it time-wise, because you got a stop-and-go penalty.
So describing what's happening as they come off the banking there on the north end of the racetrack, and they're going at almost the fastest they're going on this circuit. It is sort of a left-hand arc, and they're somewhat pointing toward pit road, kind of parallel with pit road, just on the other side of the outside pit wall. But, Pat, they've got to drop that car down to first gear for a right-hander. I mean, that's the hardest you're going to be on the brakes. And if you miss that, if you lock the tires up at all, you're not going to be able to slow the car enough. And that right-hander is almost to 90 degree. I mean, we're cranking it, not quite to full lock, but close, right before they have to crank it back to the left, and then grab the gear shifter and start climbing up the gears again for a short run to turn 1. It's a very tricky technical part of this racetrack.
And we just watched A.J. Allmendinger a few moments ago basically run the exact same lap he set fast time with in practice just a few minutes ago. And if you watch the way he negotiates through turn 16 and 17 here, you'll notice just how different his car looks. It's not up in the air for any amount of time at all when it goes over the rumble strips. It's very smooth the way he sets up and exits 16 and 17, which is a critical part of the racetrack.
Yeah, really interesting to watch some of these cars out here. Alex Bowman's about to cross the timing line. The timing line's right there in the center of the 24-degree banking on the north end of the track. The reason why they do that way they can come back down to pit road without having to make another lap around. Bowman goes out. He goes to third quick behind A.J. Allmendinger and Ty Dillon. Ty Dillon did follow his teammate, A.J. Allmendinger, around the track for that lap, and it definitely paid off for him. We have 10 minutes left here in group number 1 qualifying here for the Bank of America Roval 400.
From fueling NASCAR champions on the track for over 20 years to innovating 94 octane, the highest octane on the market. Performance is what Sunoco does. All Sunoco fuel at the pump meets the same top-tier standards as the fuel used in NASCAR. From the track to your tank, you can trust Sunoco to help your vehicle perform at its peak.
Hi, I'm PRN's Alexis Eric. Want to listen to PRN anywhere you go? By downloading the PRN mobile app, you can listen to live race broadcasts and have on-demand access to your favorite shows like Fast Talk, Pit Reporters, Garage Pass, and PRN's At the Track. Download today to make sure you don't miss any of the action. Get the latest racing information at your fingertips with the PRN mobile app, available on Apple App Store and Google Play. Find more information at goprn.com.
In Group 1 qualifying, A.J. Allmendinger's the fastest. We have yet to see Noah Gragson, Riley Herbst, Ty Gibbs, Justin Haley, and Daniel Suarez to take a timed lap. From the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, this is PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Hi, this is Doug Rice at PRN. Join me every Monday night for another great episode of Fast Talk.
I watched the race on TV, and they wanted to give him the mantle of greatest of all time, and he's won 4 races in a row. And so I can't do that yet. But I do think what we're watching is a guy who's changing the sport. He's changing the way the other drivers approach road racing. He's making them study. He's making them up their game.
That's Fast Talk right here on the Performance Racing Network.
Local radio brings people together like never before.
It's a beautiful hometown weekend out there. We've got
your local stations keep you informed and involved with music, talk shows, and real-time news updates you can trust. We are live and local. We are America's broadcasters, connecting you to what matters most. Text radio to 52886 and tell Congress to support your local radio stations.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to STOP.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Couple of Monster Energy Toyotas actually taking their qualifying laps, led by Ty Gibbs into 1.
And Ty Gibbs was pretty impressive in practice, although that was a big save at the exit of turn number 1. That thing was pointed towards the wall, kept it off of the concrete barriers, but that was a wild ride, Mark Chains, through turn 2 for Ty Gibbs.
And again, a very wide entrance into turn number 4, but doesn't arc it quite as tightly off of turn number 4, but he lost a little bit of the balance. Riley Herbst running well behind him on the racetrack. Good, clean lap opportunity for both of these drivers as they exit turn number 5.
And Ty Gibbs out of the gas, on the brakes, and back in the gas again through 6, and he's hard on the brakes again, slides his tires into turn 7, that keeps the car straight. Behind him, Riley Herbst in a similarly colored Toyota with that right side damage after a crash in practice.
Yeah, that was a big crash for Riley Herbst trying to get that car back up to speed, but it's Ty Gibbs making his way out of turn number 9, now down that back straightaway as he sets up for the chicane. Here comes Ty Gibbs into turn number 10.
Ty Gibbs downshifts all the way to second, both his left Goodyears and now the right Goodyears on that blue curbing in the chicane. He'll ride the apron for as long as possible, and now he'll crest over onto the 24 degrees of banking and cross the start-finish line.
Ty Gibbs, as we take a look at it, goes to the top of the board. The speed, 95.265. 1 minute, 26.160 seconds.
That's the fastest lap we've seen here all day. Half a mile per hour faster than A.J. Allmendinger. That's impressive.
And as Nick Yeoman, I believe, described over there, Nick, in turn one. A little bit out of control. Sometimes out of control is fast.
That is what they say, right? Loose is fast. No, he was just carrying so much speed that when that thing kind of bucked to the right, it looked like he was pointed towards the outside wall, but he was quickly able to flick that steering wheel and get it under control. So it was a little out of control lap for Ty Gibbs, but certainly the stopwatch does not lie. That's an impressive qualifying lap for the youngster.
Watching a replay here on the huge big screen, Kyle Busch is on a time lap again. As he was on that time lap coming through the front stretch chicane, there is a tire pack right there at the apex of the corner in turn 16. That is a right-hand corner. Kyle Busch put the right side tires up over the curbing, brushed the right side of his car on that tire pack. This is a triangle of 9 tires stacked 4 tires high. It is a big one there. He just brushed it.
As he went through 5 and 6, he was kicking up dirt and grass. Now he's on the banking in front of Michael Young.
Yeah, there's nothing really to hit here. At least I hope he won't get into that outside retaining wall. Certainly was pushing on that first time lap, pushing again on this lap. Here comes Kyle Busch, those rowdy fans trying to cheer their driver on, getting a quick one here at the Roval.
Kyle Busch, one of the lone cars out here on this racetrack in qualifying session number 1, gets his right side tires onto the chicane and now will ride all the way down at the bottom of the apron and just get onto the banking as he hits the alternate start-finish line.
Not faster on that one for Kyle Busch, unfortunately, but let's talk about who is. Ty Gibbs, the fastest lap all day long. A.J. Allmendinger is second quick so far overall, followed by Ty Dillon. Cole Custer is fourth. Riley Herbst is fifth. Alex Bowman sixth. Seventh, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Eighth, Zane Smith. Carson Hocevar ninth. Kyle Busch now 10th quick.
And now we have Carson Hocevar spinning on the front stretch as he exited that hard left-hand turn number 17, and his car is pointed in the wrong direction, about 100 yards shy of the start-finish line.
Oh, man, and we got another car coming in hot through the front stretch chicane. Carson Hocevar's car sits there. Meanwhile, Justin Haley, his teammate, is able to safely drive around him. Justin Haley's on a hot lap, but boy, that can't be a comfortable situation watching your teammate coming straight at you.
That's a view. That's a view that you didn't expect to have to get. He hit the curbing. As we look at the replay, he really got up. Pat, there's different curbing. The red and white curbing, then you've got the blue curbing. If you get on the blue, it'll pop your car straight up in the air.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. It's exactly what we did. A few years ago, we saw some stunts like that done at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we've seen them done here too. You hit what they call the turtles. There's the rumble strip, and then there's these blue turtles. Turtles, not good. You don't want to run over them.
He jumped up in the air so hard, Pat, that the car, of course, is out of control at that point. When it came down, it bounced. He did a nice job not hitting the wall head on.
Absolutely. No. He was able to get it wound up and didn't do any real damage to his car, that's for sure.
He has a pink and black car. This is the weekend where he actually needs to ride the Dente car where he's got the cowboy outfit, because he just went on a pretty wild 8-second ride on that one.
Well, he bought the Dente. Did you hear about that? No. He bought himself a Chili's restaurant. He just opened it up in Michigan. I just saw it. It's on the internet. It's got to be true.
Wow. Has to be. You read it on the internet. We stopped our rundown at 11. Carson Hocevar on that lap actually moved to 10th.
Passed Kyle Busch.
He passed Kyle Busch. Busch now 11th. Ryan Preece 12th. Noah Gregson 13th. 14th, Cody Ware. Josh Palicki 15th. 16th, Josh Berry. John Hunter Nemechek 17th. 18th, Austin Dillon. And at this point, Daniel Suarez has not completed a qualifying lap.
Well, Doug Turnbull, it sounds like the effort of Carson Hocevar today just got a little more crazy.
And I'd love to hear what his radio traffic was, what he was told. He came through turn 7 after the big spin out you all mentioned moments ago. Basically, it seemed like to nurse him back to the pit. So he gets to turn 7, and his car comes to a stop in the red, white, and blue Bank of America painting that you have here at turn 7. He turned to the left. I think he was thinking he could go back to the infield an alternate way. Well, that's a dead end where all the rescue equipment and even Nick Yeoman's scissor lift are right over there, and he just came to a stop. So we don't know if there's a mechanical failure or driver just ran out of mapping, if you will. And speaking of that Chili's deal you just mentioned, yeah, he did post on social media. He bought his hometown Chili's because he heard it was going to close down. So way to activate for his own sponsor there there buying a Chili's in Portage, Michigan.
I told you it was on the internet.
It was on the internet for sure. Daniel Suarez cooks the brakes as he comes into turn 16. This is the front stretch chicane. Out of turn number 17, he slides that number 99 Chevrolet. He's going to head back to turn 1.
And Brad, he cooked them into turn number 1 at the start of that lap, too. So these drivers are starting to get a little more aggressive. This time, nice and smooth for Daniel Suarez. It's a bright orange and black race car. Looks really sharp as it slides its way through turn 2. Now to the right-hander mark of turn 3.
Daniel Suarez trying to make a late climb up timing and scoring now as he clears turn number 4. He makes an awfully wide swing, almost got a bit in the dirt where he starts to run out of real estate in terms of that grass. It glides through turn number 5 as he crests the hill and sets up for turn 6.
This is only Group 1 qualifying, and he is 8th quick as he exits turn 6. Looks pretty smooth. Now on the binders, let's see if he can keep those tires straight at turn 7. No tire smoke he does, and Suarez will swing right out next to the wall.
Boy, he is using up all of the racetrack as he enters turn number 8. That right side was outside, or against, I should say, that outside retaining wall. Left side's now on that white and blue inside line. Here he comes, Daniel Suarez. Waits extremely late to break into the chicane. So far, so good through turn number 10 and 11.
Yeah, and Daniel Suarez got his right side Goodyears a little bit off of the ground as he hit those blue turtles. Now he climbs onto the banking, the 24 degrees of turns 13 and 14 as he crosses the stripe in a late race dash to get a last-minute qualifying lap.
He was 8th quickest after his first attempt, and now let's see what it is going to be for Daniel Suarez. He moves up to 5th.
Not bad for the driver of the orange number 99 as we go down to Alan Cavana.
Well, 2 quick updates. First of all, Carson Hocevar over there in no man's land, he told the team he thought his engine was about to let go, so he pulled off to safety rather than blow up on the track and ruin everything out there. As for the speed charts right now, A.J. Allmendinger is second to Ty Gibbs. Does he have anything more for the driver of the 54? We'll never know. A.J. Allmendinger and crew deciding not to do another lap. It was interesting radio only because they came over the radio and told A.J. what Ty Gibbs' lap time was. And he goes, wow, they beat me by a half second. And he was almost dismayed. He's like, I don't know if I can make up a half second out there on the racetrack. They took a few more laps to see if anybody else was gaining time. They saw no one else was really gaining time, so they decided to just get out of the car and leave it how it is. No other lap for A.J. Allmendinger.
One of the computations that the teams, the drivers, crew chiefs have to make, how many laps do you run in qualifying? Tire wear is a deal, right? So
yeah, it really is. And I want to ask Andrew a quick question down in that's been covering the back chicane and the exit of turn 12. Andrew, did you happen to notice if Gibbs used the apron of the racetrack, or did he stay above that blue and white line? Did he go all the way down on the apron?
You know, a lot of drivers have been trying that as one of their lines. Ty Gibbs, who's making a last-second session attempt, he actually went up closer towards the wall and then arced back down to get his lap started. But Ty Gibbs, Zane Smith, Kyle Busch, among many drivers who have actually been using the apron and have just been coming up onto the racetrack as soon as they've hit that line. So something unique. You probably won't see that in race conditions, but qualifying, you got to get the best lap time you can, and it seems the shortest distance around the racetrack is on the apron.
Thank you. I was just wondering, it doesn't seem to me that would be faster. Now, I'm going to be really interested to see if Van Gisbergen and some of these other guys decide to stay down on that apron mark, because that transition back off the apron, back up to the banking, I can't help but think you lose speed right there.
I thought Ty Gibbs on that quick lap stayed below the apron until it didn't make any sense anymore, right? As you're coming up to speed, you can hang there, right, keep it rolling, then he jumped to the banking right before the alternate finish line. And remember, that's right in the middle of turns 3 and 4,
exactly.
Our NASCAR turns 3 and 4. Yeah. And so I just think he hugged it as long as he couldn't. When he felt that he couldn't hold the bottom anymore, just jumped up to the top.
Yep. Group number 1, qualifying complete. Your top 10, Ty Gibbs, the fastest lap all day. A.J. Allmendinger second. Third was Ty Dillon. Cole Custer fourth. Fifth was Daniel Suarez. Justin Haley sixth. Riley Herb seventh. Zane Smith eighth. Ninth, Alex Bowman. 10th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Carson Hocevar winds up 11th. 12th, Kyle Busch. Ryan Preece 13th. Again, this is after just the first group, the second group to come. Noah Gragson 14th. 15th, Cody Ware. Josh Berry 16th. Josh Balicki 17th. John Hunter Nemechek 18th. 19th, Austin Dillon.
We will come back with Group 2 qualifying, and we'll see who wins the pole for the Bank of America Roval 400.
So you're a Toyota Cup driver and you just made it to the playoffs. Now all you have to do is win. Easy. Just turn left, right? That and start strong, take off, reach 200 miles per hour, maintain a good position, no big deal, lap again, time your pit stops, steer clear of accidents, talk to your crew chief like your best friend, and most importantly, turn left. Easy, right? You in? Get up to speed at tgrna.com. Toyota, let's go places. NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, LLC.
Hi, I'm Kyle Petty, and I want to tell you about a place that's near and dear to my heart, Victory Junction. It's a year-round camp that gives kids with complex medical and physical conditions life-changing experiences that are fun, empowering, and always free for families. Please help Victory Junction support kids who need it the most by getting involved today. Whether you know a child who could benefit, want to volunteer, or join our team, you can be a part of something truly special. Learn more by visiting victoryjunction.org.
Eric Jones was fast enough at Kansas to make the Group 2 session here, but he will not qualify today. Power steering issue on that Legacy Motor Club number 43. From the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway, this is PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Grab a friend and pack the cooler. Saturday Night Racing returns to North Wilkesboro Speedway October 18th for the Z-Max Cars Tour Championship. See rising stars like Keelan Harvick compete against short track racing's best in season finals for Pro Late Model Stock, and the Smart Modified Tour. Party down North Wilkesboro style with the Z-Max Cars Tour Saturday, October 18th. For tickets, visit northwilkesborospeedway.com.
More than 200 members of Congress are standing up for AM radio listeners. The AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act will keep AM radio in cars, because when cell and internet services are down, this free service could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 39179. Tell Congress to pass this critical legislation now.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
On a fabulous Saturday at Charlotte Motor Speedway, qualifying continuing in just a moment for the Bank of America Roval 400. The driver they're shooting at in this second group currently is Ty Gibbs. We've had 5 qualifying sessions for this race, and we've had 5 different pole sitters. A year ago, again, SVG, but Kurt Busch has won a pole here, William Byron, Joey Logano, Tyler Reddick, and as I mentioned, Shane Van Gisbergen a year ago. So will we go 6 for 6, or will one of those guys that are still racing, one of the 4 that are still racing, be able to do it again?
Among the Group 2 drivers, Kyle Larson was the fastest, but that was 7th quick overall in practice earlier. And looking at this track, Pat and I were talking as we went into Group 1 qualifying, the south side of the racetrack, which would basically be the exit of pit road and that whole section of track, that was under cloud cover at the time, and that seemed to be the faster way around. Now this entire racetrack, Pat, looks like it's bathed under sunlight.
Yeah, I mean, when we started a few minutes ago, it looked like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It was just really looked like the sun was setting down here in what NASCAR fans know as turns 3 and 4. Okay, we call them 13 and 14 for the Roval, but 3 and 4. That's the north end of the racetrack. That was where the sunlight was. Down here, though, I mean, it looked like we were about ready to turn the lights on at this place. It was that dark.
Pat, do they want to go jump right out on the racetrack? Well, we'll get to that in just a second. First, let's go to Alan Cavana.
Fastest so far in qualifying, a good practice. How do you describe your laps out there and the quality of it for Ty Gibbs?
Oh, yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I thought I could be a little bit better, so wish I could have rerun it, but we'll hammer down tomorrow. Hopefully have a good starting spot for tonight.
Where are the trouble spots out there?
The tire is a lot slicker, so, coming off some of the slow, flat, straight corners, it's really slick.
All right, Ty Gibbs on top of the board right now, has to wait and see where he ends up, and starts tomorrow at the Roval.
So in this second group, Ross Chastain went out way before everybody else. He is going to have about a half a mile before we get to the next car. I believe that's Todd Gilliland. And at this point, I guess everybody, Pat, is going to keep an eye on SVG at this point, right? 4 wins on the road courses this year, 3 pole positions out of those 5 races. I guess that's what everybody's waiting for at this point. But do you want to go out, as I said before, after this qualifying session, the first group, do you want to jump out there as quickly as you can, or will the track get better with more cars on it?
It's a good question, Mark, and I don't think we're getting ready to find out. Obviously, we get Chastain up to speed out here right now, but bright sunshine all the way around the racetrack, a little bit of of shade down on Turnbull's end of the racetrack right now. But I think Ross Chastain's going to tell us a lot right now with his. He was not bad in practice at all, but as he gets ready to get on his hot lap here, it'll be interesting to see what the one car can do.
He's already crossed the alternate start-finish line. He is on his time lap right now. Ross Chastain will point it left to the infield, and Nick Yeoman.
Here comes Ross Chastain, full-time race car driver, part-time radio announcer. Looks nice and smooth. Leaving turn number 1. Busch Light, the sponsorship on that Chevrolet sky blue and white machine for Ross Chastain. He gets it woed down, wiggles a little bit at the entrance to turn 3, back on the accelerator mark into 4.
And again, there's a bit of a border where the wall deads in to enter to the infield. And during these qualifying runs, all of these drivers are using every inch of that racetrack to try to carry as much momentum through turn number 4 as they can. He does that, makes a wide swing at the entrance to turn number 5.
And misses the dirt at turn 6 as he's already back on the throttle and right there. Back on the brakes again into turn 7. Locks up the tires, squeals some smoke behind him. But Ross Chastain exits the corner up next to the wall.
The question is, did he lose any speed there as he exited turn number 7? Remember, their practice session was completely under shade. Now complete sunshine for Ross Chastain. Exits turn number 9, trying to keep it smooth, trying to keep that momentum up as he sets up for the chicane.
Driver of the 1 swings it all the way out to the wide side of the track and now will arc into the chicane. Both of his tires hitting the curbing, and now he's all the way down on the apron. He will jump back onto the banking right before the alternate start-finish line. Ross Chastain completes his lap.
So now we're waiting for the scoring. Chastain, third quick, 1 minute 26.684, 94.689 miles per hour as we go down to Alan Cavana.
Well, you mentioned the weather right now, and yeah, it's hot down here on pit road and the entire track now in the sun. But on Joey Logano's radio, you heard the amateur meteorologist looking up at the sky and looking to see if they could catch a cloud, see if they can catch the track in a cloudier condition, which is more conducive for a better lap and speed and everything. Just sounds like a very old school thing to be looking up at the sky, hoping to catch that cloud and maybe hit it at the right time to get a good qualifying lap in.
So now no cars are on the racetrack qualifying with 16 minutes to go in this session. Our second group qualifying for the Bank of America Roval 400, and a lonely soldier wheels his way down the pit lane. Now Austin Cindric will be the next driver to make a qualifying attempt. Everybody else is just kind of holding and hoping for a cloud cover.
Yeah, the only two who have gone out and actually made the time lap, Ross Chastain, who was third overall. Todd Gilliland also went out there and went around the racetrack, and he, unfortunately, is 16th overall.
Now, Pat, what happens if they decide we're all going at the same time? We're all waiting, we're waiting. That could create quite a little bit of congestion out there and could cost somebody.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget, you get a car turned sideways in the wrong spot just because somebody overdrove it, and all of a sudden you're going to have a lot to do with about 10 or 12 guys and where they might or might not qualify. So you don't want to roll out there and have that yellow flag come out for some incident on the racetrack. That'd be the worst possible scenario.
So the plus for Austin Cindric right now, he's out there by himself. He's got, obviously, a set of sticker tires. But the bottom of the negative to that is there is a lot of sunshine on the racetrack right now, and other guys are just trying to wait it out. But you can't wait too long. We're at 15 minutes now and counting in this session.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I was pretty impressed, Brad, with Chastain's lap, as bright as the sunshine was, and when he caught it. Now, granted, he just got out there when the sun really just got going, so it doesn't take long, but it takes a little while for it to heat up. Here comes Cindric back towards the start-finish line over here, and he's a good road racer. I think we might be able to get some kind of gauge off of what he's doing right now.
Yeah, Austin Cindric, he's already crossed the alternate start-finish line, which they have in qualifying there up on the banking between turns 14 and 15. But now Cindric turns toward the infield. Nick, is he under a hot lap?
I don't know. I wondered the same thing. No, he's kind of pedaling the throttle, so I think he may just be feeling out the track conditions because it was a very ginger entrance into turn number 1. And Mark James, you could probably confirm it, doesn't look like Cindric full song through 3 and 4.
No, not at all. Matter of fact, I know you lift a little bit at the entrance to turn turn number 4, but he's lifting, weaving back and forth. That was the setup at turn number 5. So, yeah, he's off the pace.
Yeah, that's weird, too, because he'd already made a cool lap before that, too, and now he's accelerating a little bit, driving slightly aggressively into 6. But, yeah, it doesn't seem like he's fully up to speed here. So, got to wonder, Michael Young, what the Penske strategy is. Did they volunteer their lowest-ranked playoff driver as tribute or something? I don't know.
It's interesting that he's doing what he's doing. As Mark Janes had said, he was swerving back and forth, trying to get some heat in those good years, and maybe just wasn't comfortable. Every driver has said it was kind of like driving on ice out here. So whatever he felt on that first warm-up lap, didn't feel confident enough to get into that car and to actually get a good qualifier in. But this time through, Andrew, looks like he's setting himself up for a quick one.
It certainly does. He is now fully under full song as he screams by me, and it looks like this is going to be a hot lap for Cindric as he exits off of 14.
So Cindric, only the third driver to attempt his qualifying here in the second session so far, and we have under 13 minutes to go. Here's Cindric now, charging across the start-finish line to turn 1.
One of those drivers below the cutoff line that needs a big weekend, and we saw Ross Chastain raise up the level. We'll see what Austin Cindric can do. Full song this time into turn number 3. He looks smooth in that Penske Ford.
Goes downhill a bit at the extra to turn number 3 and starts to set up for 4, and again he climbs back into it quickly. A wide swing across the rumble strips. He stays way high, arcs it to the bottom of the racetrack at the entrance to turn number 5.
And he wiggles on the exit of 5 there in that Dayglow Menards paint scheme as he's down the hill, on the brakes, out of 6, quickly on the throttle, and then on the brakes again as he downshifts to first gear. Oh, and he almost spins out, does a 4-wheel slide and misses the apex of 7. He's back on the banking, Michael Young, needing to make up time.
Trying to find some grip here at the Roval, makes his way to the midway point of turn number 8, now sets up for turn number 9. It's Austin Cindric as he heads down this back straightaway. Really has a lot of speed as he works his way through turn number 10. Locks him up, but looks good so far.
He noses his Ford into 10, 11, and 12. Now will slowly arc his Ford onto the banking in turns 13. Final set of corners for Austin Cindric. Let's see what kind of lap he can put down.
Man, after that slide in the hairpin of turn number 7, this is just not going to be a good lap, Mark Arrow, or is it?
It's 6th quick.
Wow.
Out of control, but fast. Another lap like we saw earlier today.
And you got a lot of heat in the tires. I mean, he definitely did that. I know he had a problem getting off of 7 over here that might have cost him that Doug Turnbull was just talking about, but that's not bad, in terms of what we've seen so far.
Brad Keselowski now heads toward the chicane, Andrew.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski looking like he's going to start one of his laps. Let's see what Brad Keselowski can do. Some of the drivers have been going up the bank, and it looks like Brad Keselowski is going to be right up against that line as he gets into 5th gear and screams by me off of 14 for a hot lap.
So Keselowski is on a hot lap. Denny Hamlin is going out. He is just approaching getting up to speed. They are the only 2 cars on this 17-turn road course right now. Let's follow Keselowski.
Here comes Brad Keselowski. Beautiful Castro Ford this weekend as he dive bombs into turn number 1. How wide can he take that Ford? Left about a foot between himself and the outside wall. Hammers that throttle through turn number 2. Straightens that car out. Now dives it into the right-hander of turn 3 for Keselowski.
Pops into our view that wide arc entry into turn number 4. Right sides across the red-white curving to the left of the racetrack. He stays way high to driver's left now and makes a very late entry into turn number 5. Lifts a little bit, right back into it as he crests the hill in turn 5.
And he was about 35th in that first practice. Need to make up time as Brad Keselowski, as Denny Hamlin's underway on his hot lap, and so is Chris Buescher, Keselowski's teammate. Keselowski nearly clips the tire barriers, but gets out of turn 7 cleanly and into the shade.
Keselowski not quick in that practice session, trying to find some speed here and qualify. Beautiful Castle's paint scheme. Kind of reminds me of, if you're an NHRA fan, a John Force funny car as he makes his way drag racing down into turn number 10. Good looking setup for the chicane.
He gets his Ford woed all the way down. Right side Goodyear's bouncing off of the Blue Turtles. Now he's going to enter the banking. He is on the 24 degrees of banking. Left side tires all the way on the paint and finishes his lap.
Brad Keselowski goes up to 9th quick. We still have a lot of cars to go here, though, in group number 2 as the clock is winding down to 9 minutes 22. It's getting busy, though, Mark.
It is, and given, Pat, how they practice, Cindric and Keselowski, the track, I think, is getting quicker.
Yeah, undoubtedly, not only the track got quicker, but they also figured out how to drive it just a little harder as well to get the lap that they just got.
Denny Hamlin comes off of the turn 15 banking. He'll point it into pit road. Fourth quick for Denny Hamlin now, and that might be one of the best road course qualifying laps he's had in a while. Last year, he actually won a couple of poles on road courses.
Yeah, interesting to see that with Hamlin posting that time, and also just, again, very few cars taking the opportunity right now as the clock winds down. It's down to like almost just 8.5 minutes left.
Yeah, the track is still pretty sparse. We've not yet seen Ross Chastain, or we have seen Ross Chastain. He's fourth quick. We have not seen Shane Van Gisbergen go out. So when we come back, we're going to finish out qualifying here for the Bank of America Roval 400.
When it comes to maintaining your engine to run at peak performance, trust Z-Max Micro Lubricant. Z-Max soaks into metal, so it's easy to add to your oil or gas to disperse carbon buildup in your engine, fuel system, and transmission. Protect your vehicle's engine to the max with Z-Max. Check us out at zmax.com or visit us on Facebook and Twitter to find out more about our full line of products. Remember the name Z-Max for your car, big rig, small engines, firearms, and more. That's Z-Max Micro Lubricant.
Hi, this is PRN's Brett McMillan. You don't spend your life just sitting around, so what you need is PRN's mobile app. By downloading the mobile app, you can listen to our live race broadcast from anywhere. Make sure you don't miss a second of the action from the track. If you download it today, you get station listening and on-demand access to your favorite studio shows like Fast Talk, Pit Reporters, or Garage Pass. Get all the latest racing information at your fingertips with the PRN mobile app. Download today. Available at the Apple App Store and on Google Play.
When we come back, Shane Van Gisbergen will be on his hot qualifying lap from the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. This is PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
No one's paying me to say this, but you've been our lifeline. We have no internet. We have no TV. We barely have cell service. I don't know how I'm able to get to you. My Wi-Fi is not working. And I have a radio, and I finally got power on, and I have it plugged in, and I could hear you. You're the only station I can get in.
Wow. Well,
That's why
we're here.
So,
wow.
The report that we got was that a severe tornado was heading right toward us. But I just want to commend you gentlemen for the job that you're doing, for keeping us informed.
I just wanted to say thank you for being on the radio and guiding us to, where we can get help.
I just want to tell you, the first thing I heard was your voices on the next morning. Oh, shoot. And it made me cry. The comfort of hearing your voices.
My respiration, perspiration, and aggravation are sky high, but you guys have been the guiding light.
Your local AM station makes a difference.
Shane Van Gisbergen on the clock into turn one.
Into turn number one. Everybody's still chasing Ty Gibbs at the top of the chart. Shane Van Gisbergen bends that WeatherTech Chevrolet through turn number two. Looks fast, Mark, as he hustles it into three.
Time winding down on the session. We'll see if he saved the best for last as he skips across the curbing to the bottom side of turn number four. A wide swing. Car looks stuck to the racetrack now as he starts that familiar entrance into turn number five. It glides to the arc of the turn, now crests the hill, and he comes into the view of Doug Turnbull.
He did not look like he was hard on the brakes there, and he's on the throttle now and then on the brakes now, shifting down into first gear. A little bit of tire slide, but a very clean move for Shane Van Gisbergen as Bubba Wallace smokes his tires behind SVG.
So far, so good. And for Bubba Wallace, he was right about 10 car lengths behind Shane Van Gisbergen, now about 20. So if that's any idea of how fast Shane Van Gisbergen will be on this qualifying lap, he's going to have a quick one. Looks good, and the shade has covered this portion of the course.
Yeah, there's cloud cover completely through the chicane and through turns 13 and 14 as SVG finishes his lap. He climbs the banking, now dips below the banking and will finish his lap back up on the banking. A little bit of straddling of that blue and white line for SVG.
SVG to the top of the board. 95.474 miles per hour. He took 1 minute, 25.971 seconds to cover this 17-turn road course.
Shane Van Gisbergen just forced Bubba Wallace into a second qualifying lap. Bubba was trying to follow him, and these are things that Van Gisbergen is aware of. He actually came off the banking, headed toward turn number 15 in the front stretch chicane. And then after bypassing pit road, slowed down, Bubba Wallace just kept going on the racetrack to try and make his second lap. But Bubba's first lap, pretty darn good. 8th quick for that number 23 Toyota.
It pays to chase the rabbit every once in a while, so that's a good deal for Bubba, who really has a huge hole to dig out of come Sunday. I mean, he's got to win it, and the guy that he just chased all the way around the racetrack in qualifying is probably the guy who's got to maybe leap over at the end of this thing.
And track position's such a big deal at this place, and starting up front with those guys as opposed to getting caught in what will be a traffic jam midway when we throw the green flag tomorrow, it's a big deal.
Big deal for sure. Kyle Larson, the defending winner of this race. Doug Turnbull, he's headed toward you.
And he's down the hill for turn 5 and really smooth into turn 6. A little bit tail happy there as he comes down the hill, and then he's on the brakes hard there at turn number 7. Does not lock up his tires at all and exits a little bit wide and out toward the corner as he goes from sun right into shade.
Yeah, he really swings high to that outside retaining wall, then drops those left sides to that white and blue line through turns 8 and now through turn number 9. Here comes Kyle Larson, makes his way down this back straightaway. A very good road racer, brakes extremely late, looks extremely good through turn number 11.
Kyle Larson jerks his Chevrolet to the left, then back to the right, and then to the left. As he enters 13 and 14, he's completely below the banking on the apron. Now he'll shift right back up onto the banking as he finishes his lap.
It is not good enough, though, to unseat SVG from the top spot. Larson is third quit. Need to document, Michael McDowell has finished up his lap. He is 5th. Bell at number 6. Briscoe now at number 7. So let's give you our current top 10. Shane Van Gisbergen, Ty Gibbs, Kyle Larson, Chris Buescher, Michael McDowell, Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe is 7th. 8th is A.J. Allmendinger. Ross Chastain, 9th. 10th, Bubba Wallace.
Chase Briscoe just came in hot on the front stretch chicane, and it looks like he backed off doing another lap. Ross Chastain is bringing that Busch Light Chevy back out, and he's got a good qualifying lap here so far, but he thinks he's got a little bit more. Currently, he is 9th quick on the speed chart, but looks like he's going to go for it again as he re-enters the race course. And now here with a minute 57 left, Mark, there's a lot of cars wanting to make some things happen.
As he told us yesterday, all things SVG, right? Shane has been helping him with the road course program. I'm sure that he got something out of Shane's lap that he can maybe use to climb a little farther up the ladder.
Tyler Reddick now making his first hot lap, Nick Yeoman.
Tyler Reddick, a good road racer in his own right, needs a win this weekend. Slides it through turn number 2. Back into that car, stepped out a little bit. He woes it down, gets it under control for turns 3 and 4.
He goes even wider at the entrance to turn number 4, and now makes a wide swing at the exit of it, and he'll drag race down to turn number 5, and he skips it across the curbing to the right side. Car gets a little out of balance, but he gathers it back in as he crests the hill.
That nose is twitching on that Jordan branded number 5 Toyota of Reddick as he goes deep down the hill and hard on the brakes into turn 7, locks his tires a bit, but hits the apex just right and exits on the banking there in need of that win.
Yeah, he's certainly been pushing hard in the first portion of this course. Only one top 5 for him. Here comes Tyler Reddick. Midway point of turn number 9 allows that car to swing wide. Now to that outside retaining wall, about 1.5 feet as he enters the chicane. Turn number 10 looking smooth now to the right-hander of 11.
The window of opportunity closing for Tyler Reddick as the right front tire gets airborne as he goes through the chicane. Now he rides his splitter in between the blue and white line as he comes across the alternate start-finish line.
Tyler Reddick will hit pit road after he makes his time lapped in his Toyota. And for Tyler Reddick out there on the racetrack, he goes to the top of the board. Now faster than Shane Van Gisbergen, fastest lap of the day at 95.5 miles per hour.
Very quick, first guy under 1 minute 26 seconds. And so that beats SVG by a little over 2/10, almost 3/10 of a second.
We're talking about what needs to happen for Reddick this weekend. Needs to win. Got to start up front if you want to win, that's for sure, against this competition.
And Tyler Reddick is really aggressive, man. I would love to see him at the end of this thing be in the mix. He won't back down from the challenge, that's for sure.
All right, so the clock has gone to 0. We still have a couple of cars out there on the racetrack. In fact, Doug Turnbull, let's pick up Chris Buescher.
He is, and he makes a 4-wheel slide out of turn 6, does Buescher in the number 17 Ford. And then he's on the brakes hard here. No tire smoke through turn 7. Looks like he's trying to get every ounce out of it, Michael Young.
Yeah, for him, he's trying to just make his way through this portion of the course and get himself up this timing and scoring chart in a good starting position for tomorrow's race. makes his way out of turn number 9. Here comes Chris Buescher. Waits a little bit later to brake. Really smooth through this portion. Back end steps out ever so slightly.
It's his last opportunity to go for the pole as his right side tires get airborne going over the turtles. Chris Buescher now enters 13 and 14 completely below the apron and just gets on the banking as he finishes his lap.
5th quick for Chris Buescher. The last car on the track, Austin Cindric. He's going to be the last one to cross the alternate start-finish line to see if he can improve his lap. And as Austin Cindric goes around, he does not. Tyler Reddick has won the pole for the Bank of America Roval 400. He'll be joined on the front row by Shane Van Gisbergen. 3rd was Ty Gibbs. Kyle Larson will start 4th. 5th will be Chris Buescher. 6th, Michael McDowell. Christopher Bell will start 7th. Chase Briscoe 8th. A.J. Allmendinger will start 9th. And Ross Chastain will start 10th.
Then 11th, Ryan Blaney. Bubba Wallace 12th. 13th, William Byron. Denny Hamlin has qualified 14th. Chase Elliott 15th. Ty Dillon 16th. 17th, Joey Logano. 18th, Cole Custer. Austin Cindric 19th. Daniel Suarez in 20th.
Justin Haley will start 21st. 22nd will be Brad Keselowski. 23rd, Riley Herbst. Zane Smith 24th. Alex Bowman 25th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 26th. 27th, Carson Hocevar. Kyle Busch practiced 4th. He'll start 28th. 29th, Ryan Preece. Noah Gragson 30th.
Todd Gilliland 31st. 32nd, Cody Ware. Josh Berry 33rd. Josh Bilicki 34th. John Hunter Nemechek 35th. Austin Dillon 36th. Eric Jones 37th.
Eric Jones did not take a qualifying lap. The power steering went out. In fact, he only made 2 practice laps before having that issue. So we'll hear from pole winner Tyler Reddick coming up here momentarily. While we wait for that, we're going to be back on the air less than 30 minutes from now for the Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina 250, 4:30 Eastern Time. That start for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Tomorrow, the Bank of America Roval 400. PRN will be on the air at 2 o'clock Eastern.
So leading the field to the green flag a little later today in the Blue Cross North Carolina 250, Connor Zilich once again, Justin Allgaier, Connor Mozak, Sammy Smith, Carson Quapple. Pat, those 5 cars, what do they have in common?
They all come out of the same place when you talk about junior motorsports. So it's going to be a great race amongst them and the rest of the field this afternoon.
Go down to Alan Cavana.
And the man on the pole, Tyler Reddick, on a day when you needed a fast car and an even better lap. You got it. What went right out there?
I think today more than ever, obviously had tried to make the best mental notes of practice, and Ty and Shane were really close on speed, so I kind of had an idea what that looked like getting in the car. Some of it, preparation. Some of it just kind of just trusting your gut and going for it a little bit. So, in practice, I wasn't quite myself in a few areas around this track, and I think we did a good job of making note of that, making the adjustments in between, and then just having the right approach when it mattered there.
To get that lap, beat SVG, do you have to be smooth or aggressive?
It takes everything. It honestly does. He's really good at what he does. It's been obvious from the time that, he came over here. It's really impressive what he's able to get out of his race car. And, I've enjoyed it. It's pushed in the garage to get better. Obviously, one lap is one lap. We've got some work to do, and how can we close the gap on the long run. But we have some ideas, and we're certainly going to work on it.
An impressive, well-earned pole for Tyler Reddick tomorrow.
Second pole for the Roval for Tyler Reddick.
Big congratulations to him. Want to say thanks to our great broadcast crew. Alan Cavana covering pit road down there by himself. Did a great job. In the turns, Mark Janes, Andrew Curlin, Doug Turnbull, Nick Yeoman, and Michael Young. Our engineers, Harold Hamrick, Bill Parrott, Ben Blevins, and Scott Hollingsworth. Our director, Laura Beth Barnhart. Production is Kent Bernhardt. Sales and marketing, Barry Roach, David Stiles, Alexis Erickson, Hank Lee, and Caleb Whistler. The senior vice president and general manager of the Performance Racing Network is Jerry Horn. For Pat Patterson and Mark Arrow, my name is Brad Gilly. We will see you 25 minutes from now for the NASCAR Xfinity Series Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina 250. Congratulations to Tyler Reddick for winning the pole for tomorrow's Bank of America Roval 400.
Qualifying from Charlotte Motor Speedway has been an exclusive presentation of PRN. The performance.